Football Park, home of the back-to-back Crows champions. What a great weekend it's been in South Australia for football. The Crows taking the flag of the AFL over North Melbourne yesterday, and today the preliminary final when West Adelaide and Port Adelaide battle it out for a chance to take on Sturt in the grand final. Sit back, I hope you haven't got too big a headache. You'll enjoy the program this afternoon as we go down to Michael Parsons on the boundary for the changes.
Thank you, David. And Port going into this vital clash, an unchanged team really does give them advantage. For West, Modra, Marsh and Chubb are finding their way to the boundary line, and it's Barrett, Toomich and Adam Richardson coming in for West Adelaide. And David, the game's about to get underway.
As we go down to your commentator, Mark Nayley.
Thank you, David Mackay. The scene has been set here this afternoon in perfect conditions at Football Park. We see the Magpies go forward, and Ed Richardson takes a good mark against Scotty Hodges. A great contest that'll be this afternoon between the ever-experienced Scott Hodges, a proven full forward, up against the much-improved Ed Richardson. Broome takes the mark on the half-back flank. Looks wide. That's the direction he goes towards Miles. At ground level, the Bloods come up with a ball's kick forward. Chance for Bannock to take it. Couldn't quite get there, was Gray. Back to Symes. Symes chipped it up to the star full forward, and Adam Richardson takes the mark out in front of Ambrose and will go back for his first shot at goal for the afternoon. Great mark there.
Lee's the danger man, Mark, isn't he? The one that Port Adelaide will really need to quell if they're to advance through to the grand final.
It was so promising last week with the Bloods up against the minor premiers in Sturt. We see Richardson's kick's on its way. It's across the face of goal. Gray can't take the mark, but it's already gone out over the line. So the ball will be brought back in by Paul Northeast.
Coach's box, Michael Taylor for West Adelaide. Not too pleased with that kick. Adam Richardson, oh, great mark taken by Miles. His form in the finals has been terrific for West Adelaide, and they'll need him today. No Modra in the side, no Ben Marsh. West Adelaide will need to kick a winning score against Port Adelaide, who have taken all before them in the last month. 10-goal victories have been quite common as Power sweeps away, takes the crumb, goes for goal. He likes it. It's a good start to West Adelaide. The Bloods have got the first in the preliminary final.
Terrific roving there. Front and centre on the pack was Mark Power. Has a sensational year for the Bloods, as Mark Power. We see here Richardson in the contest. Good defensive action there by Northeast. Couldn't quite clear the pack. There was Power at the foot of the pack. Took it, snapped over his right shoulder, or his left shoulder, and brings up the first major for the afternoon.
2 minutes in, and West Adelaide are on the board. A big crowd at Football Park. Enjoying this. I'm certain it's bigger than last year when 10,000 people came to the preliminary final. Out of the middle, ball A's. Goes through half forward. Binky dragged to ground. Burgoyne gets extra attention. Power, who's in the thick of things early, concedes a little bit of ground and goes back to Worsden, who chips it wide. Power. Loose ball taken by Parker. Jones, the big fly, good second effort, big man, goes after it. Carter in pursuit, holds the ball in, calls for a free kick, but none forthcoming. And joining us this afternoon in the commentary box, big Michael Parsons. Welcome, big fellow. We're looking forward to this one.
It should be a fantastic game, David. The weather conditions absolutely ideal for football.
The last time these two sides met was back in round 20 when West Adelaide at home won by 17 points. They really have made a late purge for this premiership trophy this season. Just have to overcome the Magpies this afternoon. The ball's chipped out again. Brown gives the handball back to Beaky. Beaky round his body. Couldn't quite bring it back far enough. He's gone back too far. The goal umpire points to his boundary umpire, indicating it's your ball, fella. And the ball will be kicked back in, out of bounds on the full.
Beaky started the same way last week with one out of bounds on the full. Finished with a magnificent 7 goals for and tore the game apart.
And could have had 10, David, had missed some easy ones.
No question about that. Ed Richardson bombs a long one. Symes, the big fly. You can see that they're motivated, the West Adelaide big men. And I think that's the key to West Adelaide. When their big fellows fire, they look formidable.
They are a big side. They'll miss Benny Marsh that went up and got some glory yesterday. But if Timmy Symes can jump at the ball, get his hands on it, he'll be a key player.
These are the two most improved ruckmen in the SANFL, Watkins and Jakes. Battled it out. Watkins it was who wins that one. It falls to Morgan. The left footer around the corner. Binky, good hands normally. Had a bite at that one but couldn't chew it off. Godden goes to ground. Binky wraps him up. It's another bounce. So it's tied early.
Well, the key to the Magpies over the last month of football has been their aggression at the ball itself and also at the player. West Adelaide have watched them over the last couple of weeks. That's the way they have to beat the side this afternoon. The ball's chipped out. Toomey's back there, gives the ball back to Broom. Broom will put on his left leg. He does that. He goes wide towards the wing. Chipping in there was Jared Porton. Couldn't take the mark. The second effort was sensational to get the ball and keep it in the area. The Bloods again through Powell go wide. Over to Godden. He goes back to Toomey again. He'll chip the ball up to Heaver. He doesn't. Goes over the top. Good kick and finds Jones. Jones quickly round his body. Heads towards centre-half forward. Richardson caught out behind. Ambrose takes front position. Goes over it. Great courage there shown by Morgan. Handballs the ball out. The ball will come back to Jared Morgan. Mad Dog Morgan takes it.
He's played some good football over the last week, chaps. He really gets in and gets after that hard ball.
Daniel Morgan from half-back goes straight down the corridor. With the congestion around the ball as players just converged to make a contest. Parker couldn't get there. Chalmers off the ground. Godden overran it and went without it. Jakes flicks out a little handball. Now it's Chalmers on the left boot. Oh, good vision. He just popped it up in front of Vikki.
Yes, Vikki can kick this from 55 metres out. Lovely kick at goal, but as we said, he did miss a couple of easy shots last week, but still ended up with 7 goals.
Vikki last week was really a damaging player, and he did it from not a lot of kicks either. 13 kicks, he kicked 7 goals, 4. And he's a prodigious kick, this one, from 55 out. Mark Naley likes it. The Port Adelaide faithful like it. And Port Adelaide get there first in the 1998 preliminary final.
Just to put that kick into perspective, if I can say that word for the folks at home, Vikki has kicked that from 5 to 7 metres behind the 50-metre arc, and it has gone over the fence.
Well, Michael, you were down there, the breeze. What's it worth, a couple of goals?
Early this morning, there was no wind at all. The wind has picked up from out of the north, and it would be worth a couple of goals, favouring that end to which Port Adelaide are kicking right now.
Well, the Magpies army are getting involved in this game. You see the windsock there, favouring the end the Magpies are going to, right of screen. Big Watkins up against Jakes. Jakes should get there first. Watkins stretches out and gets his hand on the ball. Again, he butters up, throws it over his left shoulder, kicks it forward. Chance here for Miles to take it. Up against Figgett this afternoon. Figgett comes inboard, chips it over the top to Northeast, put him under extreme pressure. Here they go, the Bloods, they go forward. Troy Gray takes the mark and should go back and put this right through the goals.
Interesting decision from Troy Gray there to hold the ball. Had another player loose, could have run on and given the handball off, but we heard Ken Sheldon say last week, his preference is always go back and take your kick. Troy Gray has decided to do that on this occasion.
Plenty of perspiration on the brow of Troy Gray. Will kick from around about 25 metres out, 45-degree angle. We'll wait and see what direction it's like. He's made the distance, there's no doubt about that. He's happy with the kick. So is the goal umpire. That's the second major of the afternoon for West Adelaide.
And a skill error coming from Port Adelaide resulted in that goal. Just good body pressure from the West Adelaide players. They are definitely switched on. They're at the ball and they're at the body with the ball. A good tackle. Handballed off under pressure from the Port Adelaide player. Resulted in a turnover. And the easiest possession to Troy Gray, and he completed the goal.
8 minutes in, first term preliminary final. Watkins thumps it down. Brown crashes through, forces it forward. It's Borlase on the left boot. Great courage. Running back was Parker, but here comes Scotty Hodges. Crashes through, couldn't take the ball. Morgan, Burgoyne. Burgoyne ducked, got away the kick. Goes towards goals. It'll bounce just inside the line of play. Good work, Ed Richardson. He kept it in and kept running. Well, he's clever at his best, Ed Richardson. And I think he's a better defender than he is a forward.
I concur 100%, David.
McCluckey, whose late season form's been pretty solid for West Adelaide, goes forward northeastern. Jakes thump it away from Gray. Oh, Matty Broom caught Jakes in a headlock, and the umpire had already blown the whistle.
And there you see the bench. Starting on the bench for West Adelaide, Hooper, the captain of the team, sitting there, Greg Mellor, and Barrett comes into the team and finds position on the bench. For Port Adelaide, Carr, Darren Smith and Obst will start riding the pine.
There's some quality on the bench of both sides, Mark.
The advantage paid there. And the Rock drill comes out. Symes is hot early, gives it back to Heaver, who laid the kick off. Heaver slips over, gives the handball across to Symes again. Around the body, it goes up towards Miles. Miles couldn't take it. Great courage again shown by Carter. puts Brown under a fair bit of pressure. Running through hard. Great tackle from behind. Looked like it was Godden over the top. The Magpies still running in numbers. Godden goes again. This time he goes towards Tregenza. And Tregenza's thrust forward. Couldn't quite find a player up there. And Richardson clears and finds Broom.
Thought with the breeze, Tregenza might have made the distance there. McCluckey downs away. Now West Adelaide are kicking into this breeze, but they've done mostly attacking Lee's front position. Symes just gives him a little nudge. That's not a bad matchup for those two players, isn't it? Watch how that unfolds. Richardson and Ambrose. I like that one too. There's a couple of beauties I like this afternoon. Lee's runs off. Now that's the thing that Symes will need to go with. I'm not sure that he's got the running power of Lee's, but he certainly can mark it, and that's the balance. Hodges, good crashing contest at the ball. Ed Richardson finds plenty. Oh, good contest, Scotty. Oh, isn't he fired up? That one's out of bounds on the full, and it was forced entirely by Scott Hodges.
Scotty Hodges, we saw him last week really give something to the Port Adelaide side through his physical attack at the football and at the man, and again, that turnover was caused purely from Scotty Hodges' aggression.
Brett Chalmers is 60 metres out now with the breeze. He'll need to take the left post. He's a powerful kick and could make the distance, but he instead opts to pop it right into the square. Hodges flies from behind, one-handed attempt. Loose ball falls. Bamford sets out after it. Cutting him off though is McCluckey, feeding off to Parker, and West Adelaide relieve a little bit of pressure.
Going out wide was Parker. Never player loose, so decided to go for the safety of the boundary line. The coach in Michael Taylor, alongside of him his assistant in Kieran Spawn, one of selectors, and alongside of him another former past player for West Adelaide, and Johnny Candlelaftis. Ball's thrown in. Watkins down the ground. McCluckey's in there with Mad Dog Morgan. The ball's chipped out. A gain heavers there. Brown quickly across to the captain. The captain goes forward. Hodges on a lead. No contest. A good mark by Scotty Hodges.
Good comment, Mark. No contest, that's Scotty Hodges. He really does make you think twice. Make you think twice to get in front of Scotty, because he's a big, powerful body running it hard at the ball.
Scotty Hodges starting to find a little bit of form since coming into the finals. A little bit of fitness as well. He's done the extra work. He's done the hard yards. Now lines up 3 or 4 steps, just chips it into the air. Wasn't a good approach. It's not the normal address we normally see from Scotty Hodges, the champion full forward. And misses a kick a goal that you'd normally put him down a kick.
Well, I think you're at a fair point there. He's got one of the most rhythmic run-ups you've ever seen. I think he took 2 steps and just popped it up.
I will say though, David, that he has had that approach on his goal kicking for the last 2 or 3 weeks that we've seen him play.
Yeah, perhaps a legacy of his lack of fitness. Gee, you think back to the preliminary final in 1996, and we harped on that last week, didn't we? But it's a defining moment in a player's career, and Scott Hodges, I think, was the only player 27 minutes into a final that could have had the power and the legs to have made that kick. He was just quite magnificent. Brown over the top of it, on the left boot, around the corner, little nudge on Chalmers. He couldn't quite get there. Vikki comes at it, but also couldn't get there. Good work deep in defence as West Adelaide work it out. Finally it comes to Andriski on the left boot. Too long the kick for Gray, and marking it is Northeast on the grandstand wing.
Football park looks magnificent here this afternoon. The grass is green. Overcast sky.
Now, what colour?
Very healthy. Well, we look at the MCG at the moment, it's not green. Football park is absolutely a picture. We see Brown take the mark inside 50.
I'm going to put that one in my book, you know. That gets written down, that one.
I still remember Graham Richmond from the Richmond Football Club. Green grass, blue skies, and 100,000 people there cheering on grand final day. Wouldn't you love to be a part of that, kid? I looked at him and I said, yeah, wouldn't be bad. We see Brown go on. Left leg, he's chipped it high. This one, with the reaction of the crowd, indicates that another major's been brought up. The Magpies take a 1-point lead, the 13.5-minute mark of this first quarter.
And the Port Adelaide forward structure looks pretty good. They've got Chalmers playing at centre-half forward. Vikki's been pushed down into the forward pocket, and it's created a little bit of space for Scotty Hodges to run into. And on that occasion, it was David Brown who filled the space and took an easy chest mark.
1-point ball game. Port Adelaide have the lead. They are a dangerous team in finals, no matter where they are on the ladder. This year, they've had to come from the elimination final. Can they go all the way? Watkins throws it down the throat of Heaver, who misjudges it. Bamford off the ground, forces it forward to the excitement machine in Burgoyne. Andriski's got the dangerous job. Bourlays over the top, Brown befuddled. McCluckey, short kick, Watkins conceding a little bit of ground. Here comes Howard, wider still. Watkins again. Gee, they're overlapping pretty well, West Adelaide, but they're in slow motion. McCluckey short, and he finds Symes. They need to find some desperation and intensity, West Adelaide. Symes a long ball. Gray up, Feagit, big fly, thump away. You think about West Adelaide, Michael, when they win and win well, they really explode off half-back. Very critical in today's football that you have a running half-back line that can kick long to position. West Adelaide's got some reasonable back flankers in Woosnam and Andreski, and they're using the ball. Watkins has been important so far and getting another touch now.
Braganza puts the ball forward. The chance again for the Magpies. We see Vikki over the top of the ball, but the Magpies really have been in sensational form. We see Stephen Williams there. Last time these two sides met, I said before, they got beaten by 17 points, the Magpies, but since then they've beaten Nord by 76, Centrals by 61, North by 64, and last week against Nord they beat them by 60 points, so over 10 goal margins since the last time these two sides met.
Yeah, but how good are they in the close ones? They don't need to be, do they? Power. Well, talk about excitement machines. He's probably West Adelaide's version. Built like a jockey, but goes like a never-ready battery. Morgan inside the defensive 50 marks, and look at this. This is dangerous. Northeast, this is where Port Adelaide do it, don't they? They hurt you from defence. Exploding away, driving it long. Oh, great work, Andriski. We've known for a long time he's a good player, but his final series has been pretty good. From left half-back, grandstand side, we're just on 16 minutes.
It was pretty ordinary from Troy Gray there to let Northeast run away, but when the turnover happened, Andriski really could have played on and got the ball back to Gray, who was playing by himself in the clear. Really do have to play on from the half-back line.
Feagit quickly to Orman Allen, who must have been unlucky not to play for the Crows yesterday. His toughness would have been terrific at the MCG, but they did pretty well without him.
Reasonably, one would have thought, David.
Reasonably. Back-to-back. Well, our congratulations to the Crows. Well, I think if you're a Port Adelaide fan watching this, you won't give a hoot about the Crows.
Ball thrown in. Watkins again with Jakes. Take him on. Coming through hard there was Morgan. Watkins just as fierce, attacks the ball. Couldn't break the tackle from Morgan. The umpire will come in and ball up.
We've seen over the last couple of weeks Port Adelaide use Orman Allen to come over the back of the ruck throw-ins from those positions, but the West Adelaide team obviously talked about it and really didn't allow him to jump at the ball when he attempted to on that occasion.
Big Watkins will have all before him this afternoon. He's got Jakes at the moment. No doubt Darren Smith will come on at some stage, go to centre half forward, releasing Brett Chalmers onto the ball. So Big Watkins really does need to work hard. He will have him against him this afternoon.
Ruck contest. Free kick, says the umpire, for a push.
This kid, I think, is one of the most improved ruckmen in the league. The start of the year, he had a great work ethic. I wondered about his skill level, but he's continued to work hard, and his skills are coming along nicely.
Oh, good one, Symes. 4 marks to him, dominating the air.
Brian Lee's got a little problem down there, hasn't he?
And look at the kick, right in the throat of Richardson.
Power
picks it up.
Perfect.
And look at this, it's a mark. No, it's not. It's play on, said the umpire. Point.
Just watch there. I know I'm an old former Rover, but just watch where Mark Parker was sitting there. We won't see it now. The camera's gone further on, but just saw where Mark Pale was sitting. Michael Parson was just the spot to be.
Right in front of the pack. Percentages obviously increase if you're right in front. That's where most of the balls fall. If you run past the pack, sometimes it looks great when it falls in your hand, but only happens 1 in 10.
Ambrose kicks it out. Over the top there is Broom. He should be able to pick it up. He doesn't. This allows Carter through. Chips the ball out to Bourlays. Bourlays will go on to Brian Lees. Working hard is Woosnam from behind. Couldn't quite get his hands over the ball. Bourlays sputters up again. Goes into Brown. Should play on. He does. Inside 50. It's on its way. David Brown. Second goal for the afternoon.
I'd really like to know who was picking up David Brown there. I didn't really see where he came from, but he was all by himself. You can't allow a player to get by themselves in such a sweet part of the ground, on the ground.
I think that's the thing. I don't think the Port Adelaide player knew who was on him either. They're doing a 6-man rotation through half forward and centre. And it looks like Woosden picks him up now.
He just made a change. He's allowed Morgan to go onto the ball.
So in ruck, Watkins thumps it down. Toomey blasts away into the forward line. Symes just stood his ground and waited for it to bounce. Gray on the left boot. He's 48 out. Goes long, pushing contest. Oh, well done, Carter. Got a nudge and still had the presence of mind to take a clever one-hander.
Body strength.
Forces it wide. Steve, the 5-goal man from last week. From 10 kicks to, he was pretty dynamic, wasn't he? That was not a bad kick to Brown. So the little men cutting West Adelaide to pieces, but to be fair, West Adelaide's big men are doing the job for them today. Brown towards centre half forward. Binky up and down. Chalmers with him. Loose ball falls to Parker. Oh, clever work, Bamford. But Parker read it beautifully. The handball was a bit of miss, though, wasn't it? Howard to Andriski, and a short one is nice mopping up work to Woosden.
Woosden chips the ball forward. I don't think it's carried far enough. Orman Allen's there. The ball hit the ground. The umpire couldn't see that it did and pays the mark. Oh.
The accurate one, Mark. You're incredible.
Yeah, it was pretty close. I would have paid it as well, considering where the umpire was. It's up to Chalmers. A chance here for Chalmers. A prodigious kicker of the football. Well outside 50. Will kick from about 75.
Make it 90.
We'll say 90 metres out. Brett Chalmers is on its way. A tremendous shot at goal. Has it come back? I think it has.
Yeah, Michael,
it's only a behind.
Michael, would we agree that's 55 out?
I always thought Mark was fast over 100, and now I know why.
I wonder his wife can't measure distance. Chalmers gets a point. It's interesting, isn't it? 7 points. And the ebb and flow. West Adelaide came out of the blocks beautifully. Port Adelaide have just smothered them. And 7 points with this breeze is not a big lead by any stretch of the imagination. Andriski from fullback goes to the far side. Vikki is so good in the air.
Fantastic hands.
Plays on quickly. Tregenza short. Little too short, however. The target might have been Burgoyne. And he was pushed off balance on the kick.
Power now goes out wide. Oh, a little bit of action there with Orman Allen.
I thought you were a fight referee at one stage. Well, there's going to be a bit of that, isn't there, in a big game like this? It's no tomorrow for the loser.
But they said good day to each other on the kick-out as Orman Allen led towards the ball. There was a little bit of a scuffling and obviously just carrying on.
Watkins thumps it down. Brown handballs to Tregenza. He almost got a kick away under pressure. Heaver forces it forward. Howard toe pokes it even further forward. Now it's Polton. I liked his game last week. It was a beauty, wasn't it? Around the corner he goes. Watkins, good contest. Just forced the ball up. Morgan releases Bamford, who got taken high. The advantage allowed to fly, and Bamford drills it long towards Scotty Hodges. One bounce, waits, forces it down. Steed takes it, not cleanly, evades the tackle. Over the top to Brown. He's already got two. Brownie on the left. He can shoot it. No, he swings it back around. Bourla's the target. Feeds it back inboard, and Binky turns it around the corner. Not far enough. There's great pressure by the West Adelaide defence right now. Chalmers after it. Jones in pursuit. Needs some support. Woosden paddles it back cleverly. And I think West Adelaide have just done enough in defence, haven't they? Just to force the ball back and keep it there. And finally it was Tomic who went to the boundary line.
I haven't worked out what David Brown is doing, but he's by himself, and he's still by himself again. He's just running his round around in circles, getting free in that dangerous spot in the ground, and he still doesn't have anybody. Woosden now picks him up.
Down to Brown again, right leg, round the body. Couldn't quite control the kick.
Michael Taylor really has to work that one out and either get Woosden to tie it up. There he goes to the phone. I think that's probably what they're going to talk about.
He's had 10 possessions already, Brownie.
Yeah, he's just too good a player to let run loose in your forward 50.
Richardson's working over Hodges, running from one side of the ground to the other, just testing out his fitness. Richardson, a super fit athlete, will really take it up to Scotty Hodges this afternoon. And Andriski just waiting for the play to get a little bit of movement. Now gets the whistle from the umpire to bring the ball in. He does that. Jake's in front position. Behind was Binky. Neither player took the mark. Symes is there as well. The two big ruckmen go to ground, and one does at least with Tony Bamford, one of the Rovers.
Just thinking, Michael, you take Woosden off Brown and perhaps put Andriski there. And Burgoyne comes up and kicks 5 goals. What do? You're damned if you do and damned if you don't.
There's talent in that Port Adelaide forward line, isn't there?
Jared Polton down to ball ace, the captain. Mark Power in there as well. With Brett Heaver, who announced his retirement this week.
Very generous of you, Mark.
Well, that's a nice way of putting it.
What happened, Mark?
Well, the lists have been made. The Port Power lists have been made for 1998, the players that have been removed, and he happens to be one of them.
Ball lays long, a point. We're 24.5 minutes into the first quarter of the preliminary final of 1998. Now 7 scoring shots, Port Adelaide to 3 West Adelaide. We think it's about a 2-goal breeze, and Mellor is coming on for West Adelaide, Michael.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who is going to be pulled. And it looked like it is Dean Woosnam, who has had the run around by David Brown. So he'll take a little rest. But Greg Mellor will come back on.
Had Park in the middle of the ground there. Did Andriski, ignored him, went for the numbers on the outer wing.
I'll tell you the thing I don't like, Mellor has just jogged off. He's just jogged off. That's got to be a sprint in that situation.
It's an interesting call from the runner to actually pull a defender off when the ball's in that part of the ground. Yeah, that's a good handball though from Watkins to set it up.
Done that, he's got a stream off. Now Symes comes out at northeast, presents himself and picks up a free kick. The umpire's going to pull it back. Power was trying to play on, but the free kick will come back to northeast.
Yeah, just on that point regarding the runner, and the runner has to be part of the coaching staff and make some good decisions as well. If Brown had got another kick there, would have been some questions asked.
Yeah, not a big rap for Woozy, but he just jogged off. I mean, fair dinkum. It's a bigger game than that. Northeast, the far side. Oh, Jones. Now, hasn't his form in the last month improved out of sight? Looks like he's enjoying his football again and wants to be here. And he's playing the role that he was recruited for at West Adelaide, that strong big man, as is Symes. Feeds it out. Running across half forward is Heaver. Chips it in to Richardson. Front position, 2 bites. It's a mark. The umpire's paid it, and he's 40 metres out.
Look at that man. He is a big goal-kicking machine. West Adelaide would have been disappointed with his little injury that kept him out last week.
Well, do you recover from a hamstring injury in a week? I mean,
he does. Most of his is scar tissue and back-related. You just feel that. I mean, he doesn't tear the hamstring. You see him after he's done one, he can still virtually jog off the ground. So it's only, well, it would have to be scar tissue plus back-related.
So he's 45 out, kicking into the breeze. Stays over it nicely, keeps the head down. That is a beautiful kick. He looks fully fit to me with a kick like that, and that's his first, an important one for West Adelaide.
Very important one for West Adelaide. This time of the game, they're kicking into the wind. First quarter, they stayed in touch. And it's a good mark and a great finish, kicking into the wind. But the person who I like in West Adelaide forward set up today is Tim Symes. He is at the ball, he's jumping, he's taken 4 marks. He really is giving him a target up there.
Adam Richardson, the Ken Farmer medalist this season, up against Ambrose. Terrific contest that's going to be. Back in the middle of the ground, 19 now plays 22, so a 3-point margin to the Magpies, kicking with a slight advantage of the breeze here at Football Park. It is preliminary final day in the SANFL. Parker and Vikki, good contest there as well. Down to Andriski, around his body, saw the numbers out on the outer wing, goes that direction, Broom over the top, Lilly takes a spectacular grab. Heaver's taken without the ball and should receive the free kick. Young Heaver.
Young?
Well, I'll be nice to him again. Still got plenty of football left in Brett Heaver. Last couple of seasons with injuries has cost him dearly, and I think that's one of the reasons Port Power have released him.
I think that's a fair point you've made. He's only 27, Marcus. McBucky goes forward underneath it, and it's a 3-point ball game, Michael. And you've got to say, with 3 points down, West Adelaide probably won that quarter.
I think West Adelaide did a fantastic job through the middle of the quarter. Port Adelaide really did get on top, running through the midfield. David Brown cut them up in the forward 50, but on the whole, I think West Adelaide have done a fantastic job.
Well, full scores here at quarter time sees Port Adelaide, they're 3 goals 4, 22. West Adelaide at 3 goals 1, 19. And you're watching all the action on ABC Sport.
Well, I hope you're enjoying the preliminary final. It's quarter time and a 3-point margin. Just the difference. Port Adelaide have the lead at quarter time. As we go to the stats, and clearly West Adelaide had more of the ball in the kicking department, Look at the marks. West Adelaide controlling the air. Symes dominating the air with 4 or 5 marks at centre half forward. It's very even in the handball department. Frees are even, and the hit out between Jakes and also the big West Adelaide ruckman working pretty well. Power with 1, Gray with 1, Adam Richardson with 1. Brown has 2 to be a dangerous player for Port Adelaide. 10 stats in the first 20 minutes of the quarter. He was a damaging player. As we go to the scoreboard, it's 3 goals 1 at quarter time in the preliminary final to 3 goals 4. We pick up the commentary with Mark Nayley with Michael Parsons.
Thank you, David. A tremendous start of the game, Michael Parsons.
Was fantastic start. Port Adelaide got on top through their midfield for a little while, but West hit back fantastically well at the end of the quarter.
So 19 plays, 22. That 3-point margin. Terrible bounce by the umpire, Kevin Chambers, to start this game. Realises his mistake. Luckily enough, the players will now recongregate around. Another bounce by umpire Chambers. Will be put down just 15 metres, favouring the Magpies forward line. It's at Burgoyne at ground level was good. Back to Smith. Smith's come on to go to centre half forward. Chalmers has gone into the ruck at about the 25-minute mark of that first quarter. Good work there by Steed. Extra good work over the top there. Looked like Tomic. Back to Steed. Back to Ball Ace. Ball Ace around his body. Up there again coming out hard was Parker. Over to Andriski. Andriski goes back. Should be taken by Ball Ace, and it is.
10th kick for Andriski early in the game.
Ball Ace on its way. It's high. It's a chance here for the Flyers and Binky. Parker comes down with it. Goes out to the big ruckman in Watkins. He goes across to Andriski. Andriski comes members wing. The foot race between the couple of speedsters here in Paul North East and also Troy Gray. I'd love to see those two blokes have a foot race over 100 metres.
Oh, mate, I think I could get in that one and be competitive.
I reckon David Mackay could join in.
I don't think so, fellas. Let's not get carried away. It's been a long time since I've done anything like that. And frankly, after the grand final win by the Crows, I'm not feeling that flash. Watkins, left footer. Carter to half-back. He's been solid, you know. It was disappointing for him to be delisted by the Power last year, but he really has fought back and showed some great discipline this year. Chalmers, a long bomb into space, but Power read it beautifully. I think the target was Polton running down. Mellor, the skipper, to Andriski, who's done a fine job so far on Burgoyne. Short it goes to McCluckey, and further afield it's Gray, who sweeps onto the left foot. Oh, good work. Oh! Well, Richardson took his eye off the ball, but he got the free kick, and it was fortunate. Chalmers was coming at him. I think you got a fair reason to take you off the ball, haven't you?
Yes, may have lost the ball in the air, I think, Michael Parsons. Just with Chalmers coming across it. Could have.
But he wasn't too bad. He was up there, hands were there. Just that extra body pressure slipped through, but the umpire saw fit to award the free kick.
Adam Richardson with 1 today. 84 goals, 31 for the season. It's a good conversion rate. From 55 out with the breeze at his back. He floats it up with the breeze. The goal umpire has a bit of a look and says, "Ooh, it's a goal." So West Adelaide hit the front, and Richardson gets his second.
It's just the benefit of having a full forward that not only gets his hand on the ball, but can finish. I mean, he's kicked from 55 metres out, and it's just gone straight through the middle. And that is a hard body contest between two very big men. But just a lovely finisher of the football is this man.
Well, they start the second quarter 3 points down. West Adelaide get the first goal. That puts them 3 points up. That's Adam Richardson's second goal for the afternoon. Watkins gets his hand on the ball again. Coming through was Godden, missed the football. Brown takes it, gives it back to the ruckman and Chalmers. Chalmers streams forward. It's over the top of Hodges, and a good mark taken by Ed Richardson.
Doing the job so far.
He is.
Handballing being shared around here. Comes across to Tomic. Tomic goes wide. There's no players out here with a black and red jumper on. Chalmers again should pick it up. He's got time to be able to take it and share it across. He does that, gives it across to his captain. The captain goes forward, chips it up looking for Binky. Binky should take it. He doesn't. Good spoil from behind by Parker. And Drisky at ground level. Parker in there as well, trying to force the ball to the boundary line. I think Parker will receive the free kick.
And Drisky's been absolutely fabulous so far today. I think he's had 12 possessions, he's been in and under, he's supplied the run, and his kicking out has been a feature.
Broon, a long bomb, target for Symes, good contest given. Ball A's goes to the back door and Lee's Symes' direct opponent. Picks up the crumb and drives it towards Burgoyne. Front position, smashed away from him. Now it's Obbs, manhandled, free kick, said the umpire, and the ball will come back.
Obbs has just come on, fellas. Just like to inform you, Obbs has come on. The player being taken off is Daniel Morgan. So his first kick, and about 15 seconds on the ground.
He'll add something to Port Adelaide. A lot of experience in the AFL.
He goes for Scotty Hodges. Watkins drops into the hole. Ed Richardson behind thumps it down. Power rows it beautifully. This fellow's got plenty of pace and he reads the ball beautifully. His ball skills are pretty good too. Look at that one. Out it goes to Howard. Now where's the next target? Symes comes
through the middle.
Chalmers drops into the hole though, and here comes Symes. Couldn't quite get to the contest, and the finish that was stuck across the line by Fegert, who had to get there and compete with Miles.
Out on the full.
So really.
Fegert just checks out the structure of the dugout.
It's a high kick towards centre-half forward. Smith puts the arms up. Vikki from behind as well. Godden at ground level is just too quick. Kicks the ball across the face of goals. Bamford and Gray will get there together. Gray just about 5 metres in front. Paddles behind. He's got support from behind that he takes up. That was Andriski. Over the ball, he tries to kick it. The ball is smothered by Bamford and ends out once again out over the line. So the crowd, you can hear them in the background, getting involved. They realise that this game, the loser, the season is over. The winner goes through to the grand final and meets the Double Blues next Sunday afternoon.
21 is Brown. Leslie found plenty of the ball today on the right, but he goes forward. Barker did well. Andriski flicks it out to Tomic. They've been working in unison pretty well. Power, who's working deep in defence. McCluckey, Andriski, a hurried kick. Had no option but to get it away, but caught one high. And a free kick, said the umpire.
Scotty Hodges picking himself up very, very gingerly at the full forward line for Port Adelaide. Be bad news for them if he can't get up and running, but he looks okay now.
He is tough. One thing about him, he's been plagued by injury, but he is tough as nails and he loves the final. Andriski with that scorching left foot kick. Oh, Manellan, what a mega fly. But there was a push, said the umpire, and a free kick. Symes says, who, me? Yep, he got ball A's right in the back.
That is a huge leap with nobody to stand on.
Dion Miles was the offender.
It's good to see so many pass plays here this afternoon as well. A good number here of old traditional Magpie players down there. It's good to see them this afternoon.
This bloke's been important so far. Got a lot of touches flooding across the half-back line is Watkins.
Coming out of Symes with a kick. Ill-directed, he finds Northeast. Northeast will come wide to Polton. Polton on the left leg. Tries to push the ball up to Alfie Steed. Steed will come inside. He does that cleverly across to Bamford. Bamford takes one bounce. He's in trouble. Orman Allen puts down. Looked like Tomic from behind. The ball goes forward. Mark should be taken. It is by Mellor.
That was a crushing blow that Trent Orman-Elman delivered on Tomic, and Tomic did well to get up. He's hurt, but he's trying not to show it, and they are stinging. Broon over the top to Miles. Pushed off the ball as he tried to dispatch it. Fegert, who's probably been, along with Lee's, Port Adelaide's best defender in this final series, goes wide, and it's Obbs just inside the line. Carr comes on, Hodges comes off. So clearly he's not fit.
Orman Allen, the full forward for Port Adelaide. Ooh. Oh, that is a big hit.
You hit a brick wall like that, it hurts. And here he comes. Bamford goes off. Perfectly legal Shepard. Like Abraham Tomic's mother. Is very happy she didn't get a chance to have a look at that in slow-mo.
He's becoming a little bit physical out on the far side. Alfie Steed, who never backs away from a physical confrontation.
I think he goes to it. He's like a magnet.
Oh, he is. He just loves. I love the way he plays his footy. And this bloke, we just saw on a replay a moment ago, David. Trent Orman-Allen jumped, and it was a similar jump to a man that took the mark of the year. He was really off the ground.
Abraham. So Orman-Allen squares it up, puts it through. 27 plays, 25. Port Adelaide at 2 points, 3 points clear. This is a contest, a worthy final, a worthy preliminary final.
Oh, the hard body clashes that we love to watch in this game of ours coming to the fore. The athletic ability of Trent Orman-Allen was on display, but you just get the feeling that this game is here for either team to make a break right now. Hard at it, it's even. There's that leap I was talking about. That is fantastic athleticism.
3 points now to the Magpies. The lead changes once again. Chalmers thumps the ball in his direction. Smith's there. Ball's cleaned up by McCluckey. Across to Andriski. Andriski goes towards Miles. Miles in front of Fegan. At ground level is Powell. He takes it. Tackled beautifully from behind by Jared Polton. Fegan's in there. Miles takes Fegan high. The umpire rushes in quickly just to settle things down. Players are out there. They've got a little bit of emotion. A little bit of desperation. Great tackle by Polton.
That is a fabulous tackle. Be able to take your man around the hips and pull them down without letting your momentum give away the free kick for in the back. That's a real skill in Australian football.
We saw Port Adelaide beaten by West Adelaide late in the season. We accused Port Adelaide of playing without emotion. Well, they can't be doing that today. And we saw West Adelaide beaten by Norwood the previous week, and they played like they were pancakes. They were so flat. But here today, plenty of emotion and feeling as both sides really giving it their best, and I think that's all both coaches and supporters ask. Broon got it from Jones. Plenty of space in the forward line. Off goes Gray, gives the lead. That one's ignored. The longer target gone towards, it was Miles. Two hands, but couldn't quite take it. Fegan threw that one away. That was an absolute throw. Chalmers, short, tries to pick out Northeast and does so. What good skills for a big man. Northeast squares it up at half-back right. We're 11 minutes into the second quarter, and both these teams are slogging it out. A high ball, Darren Smith on the field, takes front position, brings it to ground. Brown couldn't get clear, and Tregenza was streaming down the outside like a greyhound.
Just watching Troy Gray standing by himself in the middle of the ground, and Carter actually comes down to pick him up now as the rain begins to fall at Football Park.
Yes, very overcast. The lights have come on, just indicating how dark it is here at Football Park. Hobbs comes up with it with Andriski.
Question, Michael, who's the rain going to suit?
I don't think it'll sit either side. I mean, West Adelaide with their taller forwards probably would like to see the ball remain dry.
Watkins chips the ball down, going back with the fly of the ball was Tregenza, takes a good mark, will come forward once again. He's got a good movement by Alfie, Steed out wide, chips it up high. West Adelaide have the numbers there. They bring it to ground through Mellor. Over to Ball Ace now. Ball Ace streams in, looking up forward for Orman-Allen, who's gone to fall forward to replace Hodges. The free kick wasn't there. Richardson comes out, chips the ball up further field. It's over the top, running away with it. Looked like Howard. Comes back to Smith. Smith handballs the ball forward, puts Obbs on extreme pressure. Back to Steed. The ball's high again. Who's there? Orman-Allen can jump. What can he do this time? Couldn't take it. Toomey was in there. In there also was Godden. Good smother off the boot. Looked like Burgoyne. Over the top was Carter. Back to McCluckey. Comes back again also. Looked like Godden. Comes out to Gray.
Gray will need to come back on the left boot. There was nobody streaming down the right flank, so he squares it up in the middle. It was his only play, frankly. Thumped away by Northeast. Brown picks it up. Tregenza. Now the ball's coming back. Who got who? The umpire said Brown collided with Gray, and Brown will get the free kick. And the blood rule. So that's why it came back, the blood rule being applied. Brownie caught one accidentally high. The umpire saw the free kick and the blood, and the advantage not allowed to flow.
No, I don't think there was a lot of advantage there, David. Held up in the middle. But Brown has been a fantastic player early in this game. Oh, that is a little high, wasn't it, when we see the replay?
Northeast. Gee, that breeze must have blown up, because that ball's hardly gone 25 metres. Falls to Morgan, who came back for Brown off the interchange bench. Godden tries to run him down. Northeast, well, he never knows anything but the hard way, does he? And loves it. Power goes, umpire.
Absolutely ridiculous decision by the umpire there to pay 25 metres. More like 50 metres. That is ridiculous.
In the context of a very physical game, I don't think there was a lot in that. And it's a tough penalty, as Paul Northeast
What's happened here?
now has.
What has happened? Oh. Don't let me.
Now, somebody turn Mark Naley's microphone off, for goodness sake. He's going to blow a foofer valve.
He's just taken the bloke from the wing, now inside. It's a good 60 metres. I couldn't kick that far. That's 60, 75 metres. Now Northeast will have a shot at goals. Ridiculous.
Comment Mark Naley as Northeast drills it from 40 out. Comment Mark Naley.
Oh, I'm not putting it down in my book. Forget it. I might give it to umpire number 3.
It's a tough penalty, 50 metres from the wing to a goal-scoring position. Really is a tough penalty.
Watch this contest. Tell me what's happened here.
Just good, hard, physical boys at the football.
Oh, we'll get back to it. The Magpies kick another goal. They move now on to 5 goals 4. They're 34. West Adelaide of 4 goals 125.
As Matthew Toomey come off, been well hurled this game so far, has 30 possessions weekly for the last 3 or 4 weeks, has hardly had a touch today.
Vikki over to Chalmers. Chalmers forward to Ormond Allen. Nearly pulled down a screamer. It's chipped out by Ops. Mellor goes for the safety of the boundary line. Ormond Allen, we've seen him a couple of times this afternoon have a fly. He can jump, the little fella.
And I truly believe that it is an option for Ormond Allen to play at full forward, just with that athletic ability. If he can get a run at the ball, he's a good mark and a good kick. I think in the future we might see him kick some goals.
Yes, he has a bit of Gary Ablett about him. A bit, I say.
If he gets as good as him and kicks as many goals as Gary Ablett, then Mr. and Mrs. Ormond Allen will be very happy, I would have thought.
Ormond Allen with that right eye with a little cut, so you just wonder whether the trainer can get out and quickly affect that before he's ordered off on the blood rule. Can disrupt the forward line. Scotty Hodges is already off as Watkins rucking superbly today. Double paddles that one down to Mellor, who got a kick away. Heaver tried to claim the free kick, just played on. Port Adelaide kept going. Finally, the umpire says it's a free. I think he had pleaded for it. What do you assess of this one, Michael?
Well, I thought the first one that Heaver was appealing for, there was nothing in it at all. And then when he stopped, Harvey Steed come over the top.
Got a second one.
Well, very dangerous. Exposes himself by stopping while he's got the ball tucked under his arm and there's no whistle on the play.
The trainer out to sort that out with a little bit of Vaseline on Ormond Allen's eyes. Heaver. Game number 14 for West Adelaide this year. Chalmers. He dominates this level, doesn't he? And you'd love to see him do it at AFL level. He is a superb athlete. Chips it short and runs on. Fegan. Watkins off. Coming on, Adam Hooper. So West Adelaide looking for a little change of pace as Polton brings it back inboard. Carter running freely from defence. Swings inboard. Morgan, who came on for Brown, as we've said, chips it up. Ormond Allen. Big fly, big jump. That's a good matchup, you know, on Ed Richardson.
Ed Richardson's no slouch when it comes to getting off the ground and getting in the air.
The pace. Ormond Allen's has got too much pace.
So Trent Ormond Allen, 1 goal already, and couldn't he be the find? Well, the kick is a shock. I don't know what happened. Just came off the outstep down from Vikki. Steed stolen away by Bamford. Coming back inboard. Morgan's this way, that way. Claimed. Bamford snap deep in the square. It's Andruski. Hasn't he been sensational?
Yes, Andruski so far has had 14 kicks and 3 handballs up to the 18-minute mark of the second quarter. So 17 possessions. Really is on top. Ball comes up wide. The umpire calls play on. He does that to Howard in there as well. The Magpies are desperate to get hold of the football. They're not happy, the Army, a black and white Army here this afternoon.
I tell you who'll give as good as they get as West Adelaide supporters. Surely you think about how belligerent they are. They just got a bit of toughness about them, as Port Adelaide supporters do.
Symes has been moved onto the ruck to replace Watkins, just giving the big fellow a bit of a rest. Symes chips the ball over to Andruski again. He can't have another kick. I think he's going to. Chips it out and goes forward and finds Howard. Howard misses the mark that he should have taken. Tackles Tregenza illegally and gives away the free kick. Smith quickly onto it, chips the ball forward. Now the miss by Howard may cost him a goal as Vikki's taken the mark.
West Adelaide are holding up exceptionally well at the fullback line, but they really are starting to struggle across the centre half forward line, and I think it's time Michael Taylor Just had a look at the structure there. They've put Tim Symes into the ruck, trying to get some drive, but they really are starting to struggle across centre-half forward.
Kick by Vikki. Just faded it out to the left. It came back to the right. So a little bit of a hook there. That's his second for the afternoon. And the Magpies now, they move on to 40 points. And leading West Adelaide 25.
The comment, Michael, surely has to be the drop mark there. It's a 9-point ball game. You're still really close, and you miss it, and it's a 15-point ball game and drifting.
That's right. It's not 30 seconds of football. Dean Howard would like to see again. Drop the mark and then applied an illegal tackle in his endeavour to get it back.
Stephen Williams on the phone, urging his charges on as Chalmers, who has made a difference to Port Adelaide in ruck, goes forward. It's Vikki, the goal kicker towards Trent Ormanell, and Ed Richardson comes out. Darren Smith crashes through. What a good sidestep and left foot snap. Oh, Darren Smith, you are special in big games. Well, you won't see that from a bloke who's 6'4". Double sidestep and a left foot snap.
Yes, the veteran kept his eyes on the ball. He has got fantastic awareness of where the ball is. Just, again, took that position at where the rover should be, front of the pack, went one way, came back onto his left foot. And, oh, doesn't he love finals footy, this bloke. You might tell me, David, how many finals, or how many grand finals has that fellow actually played in over his career?
He's played in 6.
That's a good record.
7, along with Scotty Hodges, George Fiarchi, Tim Ginniver. 2 of those have gone, of course.
21-point margin now to the Magpies. Steed there with Jomage.
It's a good stat, that one, actually, when you think about it. Darren Smith and Scott Hodges. Scotty Hodges is off. George Fiarchi with 7, and Tim Ginniver both out of this crop. The all-time record, I think, is Jeff Motley, isn't it? With 9.
Knockout wide. Tomic is in there again. Coming out is Outby Steed. Couldn't get past. A chance again. Coach Michael Taylor just sort of contemplating his next move with his match committee. Ops, quick hands across. Puts Morgan under a fair bit of pressure. He throws his arms in the air, appealing for a free kick. There was nothing there. We see Stacks on the mill. The umpire will come in and ball it up. A little bit of feel, a little bit of pushing, a couple of little squirrel grips, I'm sure, going in those packs.
I haven't seen any evidence of that. Super Sid now, Port Adelaide, man. Crikey. Sid, he must have a jumper. The drawers are full of jumpers. Round the corner, Morgan. Vikki got a B-grade bounce. Ormanell crashes through. One step was just a little laconic, wasn't it? Had time. Oh, Vikki, good attempt, good honest fly at it, and conceding the point was Andriski, who's easily been West Adelaide's best defender.
A little disappointed with Trent Ormanell's effort there to get his body around and go at the ball. He probably had enough space to get a better kick-off than that, but that's a great attack on the ball from Brian Vikki.
Scotty Hodges' mark preparing to come back on.
Yep,
Brown.
A very shorter version of Scotty Hodges. Actually, in fact, is David Brown.
No, we just saw Scotty out of the bunker for a second, then he sat down.
Symes kicks the ball 65 metres towards his forward line. Great mark by Miles. Been quiet this afternoon. It's just judged the ball a little bit better. Behind was northeast. Really should have gone for the spoil from behind.
Most definitely. Good player, this kid.
Yeah.
Good player, this kid. He can take a mark. He's good on the ground. And he's regularly a good kick at goal.
Morgan off, Brown on as we wait and see Miles kick the ball up forward. He's inside his range. Slight breeze behind him. He puts it on its way. It's a lovely kick there by Miles. That's his first for the afternoon, and a much-needed one for the Bloods.
You're right there, Mark. Much-needed goal for West Adelaide. Port Adelaide just starting to get on top again through their dominance in the midfield. Really have found a winner in Darren Smith since he's moved to centre forward. Chalmers in the ruck as well has given them some drive. West Adelaide just steadying then. Really got off, or started, that drive started from a lovely kick out again from Andreski. Landed in the centre square, and Tim Symes took the clean second possession.
16 points the margin. West Adelaide get probably the most crucial one, just to steady the ship. They were drifting.
And we just talked about Brett Chalmers his influence on the game since moving into the ruck. He's had 11 kicks so far in the game.
Inside 50, Port Adelaide have gone 32 times. West Adelaide 14 times. I think that's the most telling stat in the match.
As the ball has been up in the Port Adelaide half of the ground for most of this quarter.
Scotty Hodge is just feeling the effects of that very heavy knock about 10 minutes ago when he came off midway through the second quarter. As umpire Kevin Chambers bounces the ball. Chalmers dumps it down the throat of Steed, who drills it long and low. Bamford on the half volley, captured it and beautifully. On the left, chips it inboard. Orman Allen up and down, couldn't take the mark. Recovers, turns around and slips. There's a player down behind. It's Alfie Steed, I think, who got one. Now it's Burgoyne. Up, down. Vikki brings it back inboard. Well done, Brown. Ball
sensational. Sorry, David. It was absolutely, that was just a game of basketball. Michael Parsons, knock over. I know you're an old basketballer, but just watch this. It is sensational.
This is volleyball at its best. 1, 2. Oh, the set, the spike, and the finish. Fantastic.
Goal of the year would have to be the SNFL goal of the year.
Stop, there's been better goals than that.
No way. That is just fantastic football to watch and to be here witnessing that.
You've got to get off the Viagra. You are emotionally wrecked this afternoon. We just need to calm you down.
Ball aces first. The Magpies get that one back. They're now 53. They're 8-5-53. They lead West 5-1-31.
Jones flips it out. McCluckey pushed off it by Tregenza. Was clever play, Tregenza. Howard was just checked in his run, but no free kick. Oh, Carter and Howard, they hate each other. Those two. There's a little bit of feeling between those two. I think Howard might have squared up a bit.
I think he's got one in the back pocket still to give. Well, I think I'd like to see Big Benny Watkins come back on for West Adelaide. He was doing well in the ruck and he was giving them some strength across the half-back line. Symes started off well, but on the ball he's been well beaten by Chalmers.
Jones dumps it down the throat of Barrett. Lees, who hasn't had a cameo role in this match, he's been quiet. 1 kick, 1 mark, 2 handballs from a player who dominates the big stage. Today, Symes has run him around and really given him a torrid time. A long way to go in this match, however. And Lees lifts the eyes. Chalmers with the target. Parker over the top. Down it falls to McCluckey. Drives it back. Gray underneath it. Thumped away by Lees. Miles couldn't quite get to the contact. Neither could either. Bamford crashes through. On the left boot is Hooper. Around the corner on the left, but Ambrose marks on the last line of defence and plays on quickly.
He's got players wide. 2 or 3 could raffle this. Carter ends up with it. Goes further afield to Chalmers. Chalmers can have the luxury of a couple of bounces. Decides not to. He kicks the ball up to Smith. It's over Smith's head. Beaky, the speedster from behind with Parker. Parker saw Symes back, so he knocked it back towards him. Comes back to Mellor. Over the top to Ed Richardson. Now go out wide, Richo. He does that. Out wide he has got Hooper. Should take it. Broom's there with him. Should chip the ball up to McCluckey. Decides not to. Goes around the player in Burgoyne. Broom comes inboard. Chips it up. The mark is taken, but not paid to Barrett. Coming out ball ace. Chips it towards the boundary line. Burgoyne will get there first. He takes it. What will he do? He'll back himself. There's no doubt about that. Gets around his opposition. Kicks up and finds Orman Allen.
Yes, a hole starting to appear in the West Adelaide defence now.
Orman Allen, top of the square. Smith nudges, takes 1 touch. Beaky from behind. Brown's in there as well. Over the topping was Toomey. He takes it and kicks and goes out wide. And finally finds Symes.
Symes, Barrett, Hooper, left footer. Well, Chalmers has been in scintillating form today. Unstoppable, dropping back across half-back. I think it's time for Ed Richardson change because Orman Allen is just running him away from goals and Richardson's not able to go with him. They need to make a change there. That's going to bring them down, but you just wonder who. They're hard to match up on. And Burgoyne, who's been well held by Andriski, 2-2 for Burgoyne, and I think Andriski's had about 17 or 18 possessions. 15 kicks, 3 handballs. Well, what a defensive role Andriski's played today. 55 out, Burgoyne. Lobs one just short of the square. Back underneath it to Ed Richardson. A push in the back, says the umpire, against Binky.
Again, Ed Richardson doing a reasonable job. I think he's picking up Darren Smith now. Probably listening to your advice there, David.
Symes has got him.
Now there's an interesting decision to be made. Gets away with it with just good speed. As Timmy Symes goes down behind play.
There's a little bit of a push there by Smith.
Jones down.
When unnoticed. It's Jones down. Unnoticed there by the umpire. Good work by Jared Porton. The ball should go out of bounds over the line. Just a great contest between the tough sides in this competition.
You have to applaud. Ooh.
Yeah, we'll stay away from that.
No comment.
Grand final coming up next week. Yes, Sanfl haven't used the trial by video so far in this season, and no doubt they'll use it in a preliminary final. But we can see there by the face of Jones that some contact was made. Polton left leg around his body, over the back is Mellor, goes past Toomey's legs. Carter just eyes for the football, takes it and kicks it up towards Smith again. What will Jones, how will he react? The umpires play the advantage to Tregenza. Tregenza doesn't miss these, and he hasn't. That's his first for the afternoon.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned about some of the West Adelaide midfielders now. Not quite giving the commitment to get the ball. More concerned with running to score.
Even a rubber.
Yeah, I remember. But yes, the West Adelaide midfielders just more concerned with running into space rather than getting at the hard physical contests and making sure they get hold of the ball. And Port Adelaide's so tough in the clinches.
Jones off on the blood rule, tried to square up and missed. Watkins comes back on. I think West Adelaide need him.
And missed.
All right, one to mark. I tell you, we wanted an emotional, physical preliminary final. Well, these two teams are delivering. 14 goals in the first half. And you've got to say, even though there is a 28-point margin, West Adelaide, if they got back to winning the 50-50 balls early in the third quarter, are still a chance to win. Port Adelaide have been magnificent. Oh, Symes, that would have been so important. If he'd have taken Chalmers out, they would have levelled up the big men.
If he'd have hit him, he would have taken him out as well. Timmy Symes, no big pardon, straight through like a steam train.
Sam Jones is a tough player, hails from St Kilda, where Ken Sheldon reckons he was a pretty useful player, but it's a 28-point ball game at half-time. Michael, a torrid affair that quarter, clearly won by Port Adelaide.
Yes, Port Adelaide played with the football in their attacking half of the game as some of the players on the ground still have something to say. This could get ugly after the siren as players come from everywhere.
They want Smith, they want Smith. They realise the damage was done. The cheekbone of Jones, we don't know at this stage, but they want Smith, they want blood, the West Adelaide players. One of their big men was dropped, and they just want to even up.
There's no
That's the way these players are coached.
No Melly rule. Now, West Adelaide have come to play. This is war today, and they're playing it that way. Port Adelaide won't take a backward step. And I wouldn't like to get in Adam Richardson's way, that's for sure.
Oh, he has got, meet him in a dark alley.
Scotty Hodges off the interchange bench. Symes comes in, and the runner says, fellas, settle it down. Well, you can get set for a big second half. The emotions running riot in the half-time break. Scotty Hodges off the bench, gets grappled. It's half-time in the preliminary final. Port Adelaide are 9 goals, 5. West Adelaide are 5-1. Stay with us in the second half. You're watching all the action exclusive to ABC Sport. We hope you enjoyed the second quarter at Football Park. We're preparing now for the second half with Port Adelaide leading by 28 points after a great 5-goal second quarter. As we go to the stats and look at Port Adelaide, they trailed the stats at quarter time but have powered over the top of West Adelaide. 100 kicks to 93, 34 marks to 37. They're squaring it up there, and the handballs are pretty even, as are the free kicks. Hit-outs heading Port Adelaide's way. Brown has 2, Binky 2 for Port Adelaide. Borlase, Tregenza and Northeast singles for Port Adelaide, while Adam Richardson, the Ken Farmer medalist, has 2 for West Adelaide. Won't they rely on him in the second half? At three-quarter time, at the half-time scoreboard, it is 5 goals, 1 West Adelaide, 31, 9-5, 59. Port Adelaide have the breeze. This quarter, I'm sure you'll agree with me, it will be a tough, hard-fought third quarter considering what happened late in the second quarter at Football Park. Stay with us. We are exclusive on ABC Sport. Your commentators for the third quarter, Mark Nayley with Michael Parsons.
Well, there it is, Michael. The first hit of the afternoon was Darren Smith on Samuel Jones. Then Jones just thought he may just want to get his own back. Wasn't quite as hard as the first one, but Smith still felt the blow.
Yeah, lacking effect, I think, that one from on the back of Smith's head.
So start of the third quarter here, preliminary final day in the SANFL. 5-1-31 plays, 9-5-59. The bounce, Watkins back in the ruck up against Chalmers. Jakes is still having a little bit of a rest, as he did for most of that second quarter. West Adelaide, fellas, they're down by 28 points. They had a big lift through their midfield. They really struggled to get it through their half-forward line in that second quarter. Burgoyne comes out with the dodges and weaves, laces the ball out for Smith. Jones is back on Smith, gives a little bit of pressure, coming across as Brown. Jones will get to him. Great tackle from Jones from behind. Mellor comes over the top and just forces the ball out over the line.
And already you get the feeling that Smith and Jones are going to be at it all for the second half.
I think you're right there, Michael. Darren Smith will do the ruck work in the Port Adelaide forward half. Watkins. He just thumped it forward into space. Tregenza over the top. Carter claimed, goes to ground. No prior opportunity. The umpire will ball it up. Well, Michael will put you on the spot. Port Adelaide leading by 28 points. Can West Adelaide get back?
They really do need a couple of scores early. They need to find an avenue through that centre half forward position. Timmy Symes is back there now, had a good start, but when he went into the ruck, they did lose drive.
Watkins takes it out of the air. Ball lace over the top of Watkins. Watkins goes to ground. And once again, the umpire will come in and ball it up right in front of the members stand here at Football Park. Concentration. The ball's put down. Over the top is Trent Orman-Allen. Jumps like a startled gazelle. Down to Mellor. The ball's still in. Mellor just feeds the ball out over the line with Brown just hanging on.
I bet you, Michael, that Phil Carman would be sitting in the grandstand hoping these sides felt the absolute tripe out of each other.
Yes, the whole side is here this afternoon. Double blue side. Just watching who they're going to come up against next week.
Ops to Orman-Allen. A high ball. Burgoyne underneath this one. Vikki. Oh, he came 3 deep and launched into that one. A beauty. That is a team lifter.
Hodges is back on, back into full forward.
Now, what was wrong with him, Mark?
Well, a heavy clash there in that second quarter where he did take one from behind. Orman-Allen did go to full forward.
So Vikki squares it up 30 metres out from goal, the sweet spot. Watkins front position, thumps it down. Broon takes the crumb, switches the direction of play, concedes a little bit of ground, in fact. McCluckey deep in the back pocket. No option further afield. Here comes Miles. Charges out, gives him an option. Fiegert was there in pursuit, tried to thump it away. Miles did very well. Picked up the loose crumb, drives it further afield, long and low. Barrett underneath that, northeast paddles it forward. Barrett the loose crumb, claimed by Bolton. Here comes Fiegert. Hasn't he worked hard today? Around the corner on the left boot, the halfback flanker, and it's Burgoyne. Well held in the first half by Andriski. 6 possessions. Forward into space, and it's Obbs, who started the game on the interchange bench, but now comes on to give them a running option. 60 out. Scotty Hodges comes and goes back again. Swings around. Binky the target. Couldn't quite take it. Loose ball falls. And here's Binky again. Geez, worked hard to get back into the contest. Handballs it away. Heaver skirts the boundary line. Goes forward for Andriski, but cut off by Obbs. Good play, Port Adelaide.
And already Port Adelaide playing in their attacking part of the ground. The 50 entries over the course of the game so far, 39 to 16. Port Adelaide's way really is a telling stat.
Watkins with Smith. The ball's knocked by Watkins in the West Adelaide direction, but again is there. He should pick it up. He does, and good work there underneath the pack. It's like Godden comes up with the football. So a chance again just to regroup for the Magpies. They're inside 55, 60 metres out. Thump by Obbs. It's only come down to Tomic. Tomic quickly over to Heaver. Heaver left leg. Looks for Power in the middle of the ground. Carter picks it up. Tackled well by Power. Tregenza ends up with it. The umpires saw a throw. Looks like it's come through from Carter, and the ball will go back and taken by Power. Power comes wide, and Drisky. First half, 15 kicks and 3 handballs, 16 kicks now. So 90 possessions in a half of football. Comes back to Lees. Lees over his shoulder, kicks it high. He's got Polton. Also, Andriski comes in. The 2 number 15s clash bodies. Good mark by Jared Polton. Well,
ordinary kick. Very ordinary kick.
Well, he saw Scotty Hodges there, didn't he, Michael? He just couldn't quite control it.
Mellor, the West Adelaide skipper, spears one, keeping it towards the boundary line. Miles presented himself, but Fegan has done a blanketing job today.
Fegan's done exceptionally well, and if West Adelaide are going to get up and make a contest of this game, Dion Miles is one of the players in the forward line that has to start taking a mark. And
Richardson, you'd suspect. Symes, who was very good in the first half, takes front position, gets it out, handballs it forward. Godden skirts the issue, explodes away from the pack, delivers it up towards Richardson. A full forward. Ambrose took front position. Well done, big fellow. To ground it goes. The umpire's blowing the whistles. There's a 3 behind play. It's going back to Obst, who has pulled off the ball, said the umpire. Barrett, the offender, got him high. So Obst delivers towards Darren Smith. We can just feel the fireworks between Darren Smith and Sam Jones. Brown off the ground. His first quarter was inspirational for Port Adelaide and set up the running machine of the Magpies. Ed Richardson, who was run around in the second quarter by Trent Ormanell, gathers the ball, goes wide to Alfie Steed, who hasn't had a big impact on this match. Comes back inside. Over the top he goes, and it's Bamford. One step, steadies, goes for goal and misses.
Excellent vision from Alfie Steed to be able to pick the player out, then handball over his shoulder and set up the goal-scoring opportunity. Alfie Steed, I've been very impressed with the way he's played his football over the last month. But as you just said, David, Mackay has had very little impact on the game today.
And Drisky brings the ball back in. Orman Allen will jump first. Comes down to Richardson. He's in trouble with Bamford there. Burgoyne takes on Godden. Godden kicks it up. Mark should be taken by Gray. Quick hands across to Heaver. Left leg, trying to find the full forward. Richardson couldn't quite make the distance. Fegan cleans it up. Should clear it to Carter. Puts it high. Carter should run on this. Running with the fly of the ball. Takes it. Will go back and steady things. He doesn't. Gets the ball moving quickly. Good mark taken by Polton. Going with the ball again. Some great courage shown by Jared Polton. Over to the captain. The captain kicks it forward. Binky from behind couldn't grab the ball over the top of Tomic. And the ball's out of bounds. Over the line. So we're 35 metres out. We played 7.5 minutes into this third quarter.
Brian Binky in line for the ABC Team of the Year. His form in the latter half of the season exceptional. Stay with us. Grand final day next week. We will announce the SANFL ABC Team of the Year. There's some very good players in that squad as Orman Allen goes to ground under a tackle from Andriski. Darren Smith handballs towards Brown. He has the run of the ball. It's Jones to beat. Feeds it off. Steed on the left boot. It's a high bomb. He couldn't bend it back and go around the corner. Hodges underneath it. Binky marks. Oh, Brian Binky. Ripper judgment. And this might be the one that just steadies Port Adelaide, restores the confidence and lets them power home.
The greatest coaching move in South Australian football history from Stephen Williams, moving Binky, a regular backman, up into the forward lines midway through the season, and he has been an absolute revelation since that time. 2
goals in this match, 1 in the first quarter, 1 in the second, and now he gets 1 in the third. He's Port Adelaide's leading goal kicker on 34 goals for the season. Not a bad job, is it? And I think he gets a place in the Team of the Year.
He's going to go close, isn't he, David? He just has fantastic hands, good courage. Look at the way he just jumps at the ball. That one just fell in the arms. But he gets to the contest and he jumps well. And as we've seen today, a couple of the goals he has scored from outside 50 is a beautiful kick of the football.
Brian Binky gets his 3rd major for the afternoon. West Adelaide now, they're still 5 goals, 131. Port Adelaide at 10 goals, 6, 66. Watkins up against Chalmers. The ball's bounced true. The clash of the big fellas. Watkins gets it down. Went as far as Barrett. Coming out as Miles. Good safe mark. Out in front. Gray moves quickly. It's over Carter's head. He goes back with the fly of the ball. Power cleverly over the top to Heaver. Back to Symes. Symes left foot 30 metres out. Couldn't quite find the accuracy. Got the distance. Another behind. West Adelaide need goals.
Wrong option from Dion Miles. Then they had their gun full forward. Adam Richardson on a lead into space and kicked the ball the opposite way. And that is a huge mark from Tim Symes.
Does it pretty well, doesn't he? He's taken a lot of marks today. That's mark number 7. And he's given them a focal point in the first half. Bruin front position. Polton from behind thumps it away. Miles and Fegan. Fegan thumps it across the line. Miles appeals for the free. You could just sense the frustration, Michael, of West Adelaide.
We talked over the half-time break, David, with Bruin playing deep in the forward lines. We've seen him play some fantastic football over the last month, running through the midfield. I'm not sure he's not better suited to that part of the ground.
Fair call. Lees also in line for the team of the year, perhaps along with Lachlan Bowman at centre-half back. Drives one up. Watkins sets himself the big fellow. One of the most improved ruckmen in the competition this year. Fegan goes to ground. Mellor got him that time. Harvey got it from... Heaver got it from Tomic. Now it's Godden. Northeast missed it. Carter crashed through. Oh, Adam Richardson wraps him up, gives away a free kick, but I don't think he had any choice but to do that. It was man on man. It was war. Carter, Richardson, they go to ground. And the free kick goes to Port Adelaide in a 50-metre penalty.
Yeah, I'm a bit lost about what the 50-metre penalty was for, David. But it was just a good attack at the football.
Yes, I'd have to say today, it's not the best umpiring exhibition that I've seen. If these three are supposed to be,
I think it's been two.
Supposedly the best umpires.
Been one very good umpire today.
Yeah. We've got a grand final next week. Be interesting to see how many of these umpires do feature next week in the big one.
I think there'll be one there. Now there is a reason for the 50-metre, by the way. The ball was kicked away, I reckon. Wait, no, all right.
Well, the ball's thrown in, forward pocket for the Magpies. Smith just lays it down, looking for Brown. Coming through is Mellor over the top to Barrett. Barrett will go wider to Andriski. Andriski can see Gray forward. Gray takes it. Now, there's got to be some movement up forward. Miles has come this direction. Miles in front against Fegan. Down to Lees. Lees doesn't want to pick it up. Good work by Timothy Symes. Needs to get boot the ball. He does that. Looking forward. Where is Richardson? He's at the back. In front was Bruin. They've got a chance here. West Adelaide. Symes goes in. Lays it on the boot. A lovely goal by Timothy Symes. That's his first for the afternoon.
Timothy Symes is a good player when he's getting a lot of the football. We've seen him today dominate the air from centre-half forward. He went into the ruck. I don't think that was the best move that the West Adelaide coaching staff have made all day. It didn't come off. He's back now at centre-half forward. And you can just see the ability that man has to be able to pick the ball up on the run and then finish, and he's 6'6" tall. An important player for West Adelaide if they're going to creep their way back into this game.
Almost 5 goals, the deficit for West Adelaide. They really need to find something. A couple of quick ones here would be handy. Forward they go. McClucky, I think that might have been. To space, Richardson gathers it in, fends off 1, then 2. Out to Matty Bruin, there's a free kick. The umpires played the advantage. Oh, and it's off.
Heaver.
They had to bring it back. They had to bring the ball back. That is terrible umpiring. Inside 50 again, and there was no advantage with that ball going wide. There was no advantage making the aim. Oh, don't get me started today, please.
You've already been kick-started.
Make the interchange now. Ball's come out. Kicked high over the top of offset. Mellor's in there, wants to go towards the boundary line, couldn't quite connect hand with ball. Comes down to Barrett. Barrett's hotly pursued. Taken high was Barrett. Power takes it without the football. The umpire will throw it in. Centre half forward flank. The ball be thrown in. Watkins and Smith. West Adelaide need the next goal. Orman Allen again decides to go for the ruck. Good throw there by Brown. Finds Obbs. down to Tomic. He's quite prepared to see the ball out over the line. He does that. And again, we'll see the ball thrown in.
Again, we see the tactic of Port Adelaide of letting Orban Allen jump and take control of the ball from the boundary throw-ins. God needs to get right in front of him and not allow him to jump over the back of the ruckman.
Darren Smith and Watkins. Watkins throws it down the throat of Barrett, fishes out the handball to Golden, who needs a shepherd, didn't get one. Has to handball it forward. Heaver couldn't quite get to the contest. Miles did very well. Read it beautifully on the left. He swings it back around. Who's under this? Symes and Lee stumps it down the throat of Chalmers. The big fellow turns him into a rover. Now Lees goes wide to Polton, comes back inboard. Oh, very clever. Just held it long enough to go forward. Feed it towards the line. Port Adelaide's defence today has been quite terrific.
They have a fantastic defensive unit. They've run the ball out well. You just get the feeling that West Adelaide are just starting to find a couple of avenues through that centre half forward area. Dylan Miles getting his hand on the ball. Timmy Symes is back there again in this quarter.
Bolton taking out the ball down to Powell. He'll back himself. He's quick. Quick legs, comes inside. He can go all the way if he wants to. Powell decides to lay it off to Richardson. Couldn't get there. Good thump on by Lees. Intelligent dump finds Tregenza. Tregenza comes across the ball ace. Ball ace has got the running Brown out on the outer wing. He takes it. Gives it off. No, he doesn't. He lays it off now up towards the full forward line with Benke. Benke one grab, two grabs. Then ends up with it. Comes around his body. Kicks it up forward across the face of goals and goes out of bounds. Great work there by Benke. Pleading with the umpire, saying it was my grab. I had first touch, second, and also third. Hard to say, Michael.
It was. Tough call. Glad I'm not an umpire, but it was another great effort in the air from Brian Benke.
He's very good in that position. Obbs crashes through. Couldn't get through Mellor as it turned out. Mellor lost the ball. Burgoyne it was who lost it. I just think that West Adelaide's defence, who held them together in the first quarter and a half, really just getting bombarded now, Michael.
Just the 50 entries just really one way, 45 to 26. But they held up well. The last line, I've been very impressed with West Adelaide, but their midfielders have let them down a little bit today.
Woosnam limbering up on the field, taken off in the first quarter when Brown had 10 possessions inside the first 20 minutes. Now it's Mellor, drills it long and low. Gray couldn't get there. Lees tried to crash through. Mellor never skirts an issue, does he? Just very strong. Obbs back to Lees, one step. Now he goes racing away. Delivers it forward into space. Scotty Hodges was the target. The big fellow comes out, presents himself, sells the dummy, can go short. All he had to do is put it into the path of Brown, who was running out from goal. Watkins did very well to get to the contest, and Andriski, West Adelaide's best today, pushes it further afield. Gray was the target. That's the screamer. Orban Allen up. Oh, and he hasn't moved. He's taken the mark, but he has not moved. Well, let's just take our time with him, because that is a big fly, but he has not moved.
That is an amazing piece of athleticism. Look at this man jump. Just land on his head.
Well, it was such a good, honest leap. Just a beauty, sideways and up. The elevation was terrific, and the head hit the ground when it came down, and he did not move. You knew he was in trouble from that moment on, but he's not going to go off on the stretcher. Or is he?
I think he should think about it.
Norman Allen, 9 kicks, 1 handball, 5 big marks. He's also had 3 hit-outs in that spiking position.
There aren't too many people around, David, that can just elevate themselves off the ground like he can. Himself, Tony Mondra is in that league. Ryan Fitzgerald, we've seen this year, just be able to jump.
And Vikki as well, I think he's in the same sort of class.
Yep.
For his size, Vikki does play.
Now, you've got to hope that if Port Adelaide make the grand final next week, that he's not concussed. But, oh, gee.
That is a big hit on the noggin.
And, of course, the Port Adelaide fans giving him a warm round of applause as he comes off. They've got the big screen at Football Park. They've had 4 or 5 replays of that, and they revere their champions for their courage at Port Adelaide. I think that's the facet of the game that Port Adelaide revere more than any other.
Now, that's interesting. They're not bringing him off through the interchange gate, David. So does that mean that
he's on the stretcher?
So he can
bring him off anywhere.
Okay.
Burgoyne puts it up. Richardson from behind has to fly. Comes down to Tomic. What would Tomic do? He goes back left, comes back right, over the top. Burgoyne takes it. Burgoyne's got the player inside. He tried to find Carter. Carter realises he's under a fair bit of pressure, chips it out. It's out of bounds on the full. Chance for Tomic to bring it back in. Bruin goes forward. No real movement. They've got Symes coming down from centre half forward. Watkins just loafing across the half back line. He goes in that direction now. Watkins in front, doesn't take it. Toomey ends up with it. Been very quiet this afternoon as Matthew Toomey. Spent a bit of time also on the bench. He's only had 4 kicks. Really is a better player than what he's shown this afternoon.
All right, let's frustrate the players.
They're doing that.
No, look, the comment is, this is finals football, and all year the South Australian umpires have done a great job, they've let the players play the game today. The umpires have wanted to take centre stage, and it has not worked for the game. Jones, power, bounces away.
Needs the kick.
No, he needs support, and he gets it wide. Toomey runs onto it, feeds it back to Heaver, goes short. He just suspects that West Adelaide need to go long. The long option is to Richardson, and by the time the ball gets there, he's out of position. Barrett.
Yeah, the Ken Farmer medalist really been starved of opportunities today.
The ball's come down so slowly. I think that's the main thing, and they've only had 26 times inside their forward 50. Make that 27. Goes forward. Gray underneath it. Couldn't quite take it. Symes tries to get there, but can't. We're 21 minutes into the third quarter of the preliminary final, and if this is the premiership quarter, then Port Adelaide are in premiership form.
I'd still like to see Bruin come out and play the midfield to supply a bit of extra run for West Adelaide, and maybe put another tall into their forward line, get the run through the midfield, and give Richardson some chances on the lead into space.
Young Mark Power, another candidate this year for the ABC's Team of the Year, which will be announced next week during the grand final. It's out again. Bruin comes up with it. He too's been quiet this afternoon. Runs his good distance. Inside 50. Puts it on its way. I think it's a goal. He's happy with the result. The flags are flying at Football Park. That's his first major for the afternoon.
He's been an important player for West Adelaide over the last month, playing in the midfield. He's got a lot of the ball, had over 30 possessions last week. And it looks like he's now been moved into that position. But he's had 15 touches today, and if West Adelaide are going to win, he needs to get that ball running, give Dion Miles, Adam Richardson, Tim Symes the opportunities to take the mark and kick the goals.
Margin back to 21 points. It was 28 points at half-time. Watkins takes it, taken high, free kick, no worries about that. Kevin Chambers, a very experienced umpire. And Drisky towards half forward. No West Adelaide mark. Northeast goes back. Miles. Oh, great work. Northeast slid into it. Took it away. Gives it off to Bolton. That's knee grown during the finals as well. And so too Barrett with a good smother, who's missed a lot of the season with injury, but is there when you need him.
We saw Barrett play a fabulous game down at West Adelaide's home ground earlier in the year. Had about 36 touches for the day.
Symes, big bustling body, gathers the ball, torpedoes it towards Richardson. The big fella couldn't quite get to the contest. I think it was Lees backing back who got the free. Now he's got to be a candidate, fella, centre half back. Is it Bowman or Lees at centre half back in the Team of the Year? Or have you got someone, Soderstrom perhaps, from Sturt?
No, I think your first two are the picks, David.
Ambrose goes for a run, touches the ball down once, now releases the kick forward. He finds player out there in Morgan. Morgan gets his head around quickly. No options. Ambrose kept running, so he goes towards Ambrose. In front of the Living Health sign.
That wind that was present earlier in the game dropped right away now. Flags hanging limply from the top of the stands.
Lazy kick around his body from Carter. Lucky enough it's found Steed. He gives it across to the Ruckman and Chalmers. Chalmers outside 50, goes towards Scotty Hodges. And as you can see, Scotty's brought up his first for the afternoon.
That goal was a product of just blokes that play together, knowing what their strengths are. Chalmers had the ball on the half-forward flank, a long way from goal. Scotty Hodges was about to lead, looked up, saw it was Brett Chalmers, and started running backwards because he knew the capacities of Brett Chalmers to kick the ball such a big distance. He was in the right spot when it came to ground.
And Richardson has done a fine job on Scotty Hodges. 1 goal, 1 to the champ. 7-3 to 11-6. We're 25 minutes into the third quarter. West Adelaide have got time if they're good enough, but if not, Port Adelaide will go into the grand final against Sturt. And the last time we saw West Adelaide in a grand final, Sturt, was 1983. Can the Bloods do it? I don't think so. Scotty Hodges streaks out, and you can just sense that Port Adelaide are fine-tuning the machinery for a grand final day. Now, the breeze has dropped in the first quarter. This would have been quite an easy kick. It would have been put it out in front of the goals and let the breeze suck it through. This time, from about 48 metres, Scotty will need to drill it. No breeze at all. The breeze has completely stopped at Football Park. A powerful kick, and he'll need to keep it dead straight. I think he just floats it up to the point of the square. I think the required result, pushing and shoving. West Adelaide free kick. And it's going back the way of Sam Jones.
Pushed out. Umpires paid the kick.
Knocked down by Burgoyne. He keeps it in the area. Scotty Hodges just indicating he needs some space. He pushes Smith back to full forward. Now, coaches' camp here this afternoon. Both coaches have been pretty relaxed, not showing a great deal of emotion. They will, no doubt, in this last quarter as things do start to hot up. Coming through is Mellor.
What continues to impress me with the way he's got his hand on the ball while he's been in the ruck. Again there, giving his little guys first use of the ball.
The fresh legs being brought on with Obbs coming off. And Tommy Carr coming on. Also staying there was Jakes. Good ruck work again there by Watkins. Mellor just showing one of his deficiencies. Couldn't put on the right leg. Came back to his left. Broom releases it now to Powell. They can't hang on to Powell. He's just too slippery. And Powell boosts the ball up, looking for Miles. Miles is going to take on 3 opponents. Ends up with Carter, who chips the ball up and finds Lees.
Lees, kick number 8. Darren Smith the target. Jones and Darren Smith have had a torrid battle since the second quarter. Darren Smith's coming off and Jakes is coming back on. Very clever interchange there as the ball came down. That's the way Port Adelaide do things, so professionally. Borlase over the top. Oh, now somebody's hurt down there. Matty Brune hasn't moved. Now what's going on? So he dived on top of the ball, did not move. The umpire paid the free kick. Fair enough when you dive on top of it, but he is injured. And he's up now, fortunately. Mellor to Andriski missed the target. Golden claimed with the tackle. Was beaut work by Offie Steed. He's grown a leg in this final series. Watkins to Andriski. Clearly West Adelaide's best. Floats it in for power. Now Matty Brune, who didn't move a moment ago, is up on his feet. Drills it towards Richardson. Ambrose front position. Ambrose done a great job on the Ken Farmer medalist. Feagit, don't they combine beautifully, Port Adelaide, and yet again they relieve pressure.
Carter goes out wide to find Brown. There's a chance here for something to be built. Brown goes over the northeast. Northeast puts the ball up, trying to find Chalmers. He's got a bit of space to work in. Should go back to Bamford. Now he does. The handball's released. It's up high. Vikki would jump at it. He's in front position. 1 grab, 2 grabs. Umpire calls play on. Possibly the mark should have been paid. West Adelaide clear. Troy Gray, left leg, comes in, finds Barrett. Players out wide. He goes in that direction. This is Hooper. Hooper will go over the top. Richardson sits back. Lees is there as well. In front there with Richardson. Nearly took the mark. Ambrose gets his hair pulled out. Timothy signs over the top. And the umpire puts the hand in the air, indicating he wants the football and will bounce about 20 metres out, directly in front.
It's one of the few times today, Mark, that West Adelaide have actually been able to hold the ball in their attacking zone. Too many times the ball's gone in, it's hit the deck, and the good combinations from Port Adelaide have just run it out.
You're watching the preliminary final exclusive to ABC Sport. Power, 48 out, chips it in. Richardson was the target. Tregenza got back and just put a hand where it was required. Borlase, this is good work. Burgoyne having a run now on the ball, I think, finding a bit of the ball. Goes towards centre forward. Chalmers taken by Jones, holding the ball. Says the umpire.
You are kidding.
Did he have prior opportunity? That's what you're saying?
Oh, never. He was taken as he collected the football. Look.
No opportunity. Oh, Steedy collected one behind play. The umpire missed that one too. Tomic was decked, well, we won't say how. Play on, says the umpire. Carr releases Tregenza. One pace, almost run down in the final analysis by Hooper. Forward it goes. Hodges can't mark. Well, we're almost 30 minutes in, and the heat's still in the contest.
West Adelaide aren't dying off, are they? Still at the ball. Rain starting to fall again here at Football Park. And it's a good physical encounter.
A hit on Steed, onto Toomich there. Good body clash. Watkins behind again. He's rucked all afternoon. Player taken higher was Barrett. He'll go back quickly. He's got players streaming down through the midfield. He goes in that direction towards Hoover. Hoover takes a good mark overhead. Needs to get up, needs to get the ball moving. They need another goal before the three-quarter time siren. Unfortunately, you can't. We see Michael Parsons. At the moment, West Adelaide still trail Port. They're 45, trails Port 72.
Yes, again in that quarter, Port controlled the ball through their midfield. Probably not as effectively as they did in that second quarter. West Adelaide started to get back in the game through the likes of Tim Symes and Dion Miles, but really Port Adelaide controlling the ball.
Well, three-quarter time here in the preliminary final as rain starts to fall. There's the big Trent Norman-Allen going to ground, which nearly put him out for the afternoon. The score here is West Adelaide, they're 7 goals 3, 45. Port Adelaide 11 goals 6, 72. And you're watching the action on ABC Sport.
Prepare now for the start of the fourth quarter. Your commentators, Mark Daly with Mike Parsons.
Yes, thank you, David. The fourth quarter here at Football Park. Preliminary final. West Adelaide are down by 27 points. As we see them going forward again. Out to Broome. Now what can Broome do? They need the first goal. Do the Bloodhounds. It's up high. Coming down, Miles very athletically takes it to ground level and comes up with it. Across to Barrett. Barrett goes forward. Mark Power takes one high. Umpires have been pretty consistent with these 50-metre penalties. He's calling for it. Look at the arms on him, Michael Parsons. Shouldn't be out there playing with the big boys.
No, he left his horse tied up outside, but this kid can really play football. Been a significant player here in the last couple of quarters.
Up for his 15th possession, but very close to the man on the mark. We could see that as he started to run in. Good work by Bamford across to the captain. The captain kicks it up. Ops cleverly takes it on a half volley. Chips the ball out. Out be Steed in full flight. Couldn't take it.
A bad mistake from Mark Power. Kicking into the man on the mark. Just beyond his distance. Tried to get as close as he could.
It's going to be a great fourth quarter.
Yes. Mistake that shouldn't really happen in football at this level.
I think it'll be a great fourth quarter if you're a Port Adelaide fan, because you just can't see where West Adelaide can have a lift at the moment. Port Adelaide now just need to get their structures right, just talk amongst themselves and get ready for next week.
Now, it's been a problem this afternoon. I just saw Mad Dog Morgan there, just having to go to the boundary umpire. They are throwing the ball in very flat this afternoon. It's not a very good day for the umpires. They are throwing the ball in flat. That's a better one. Hobbs on knees, crawls forward, head down, tail up. And a good crowd here this afternoon with the attendance just under 14,000. Considering what's happened yesterday in the AFL, I don't think the SANFL hierarchy could be too despondent with that sort of result. Burgoyne.
I think they'd be delighted, Mark. There was only 10,500 people here last year. So 13-9 today is a pretty good result, considering the weather and the Crows victory. But as I said earlier, I don't think there's too many Port people that care much about whether the Crows have won back-to-back premierships in the AFL or not.
I don't think I've met a Port Adelaide supporter who does barrack for the Crows in South Australia.
Well, if there was, they've been burnt at the stake over the last 2 years. Mellor and Morgan go at it. Young Hooper flips one out. Oh, Broome had a touch of the fumbles. He was on his way if he hadn't have fumbled that one. Back conceding a little bit of ground to Sam Jones, who copped a clobbering by Darren Smith late in the second quarter. Fegan, who's worked manfully today, leaves off the ground, just drives it forward into space. A little wide, however. And the boundary up by a centre bounce just inside the line.
There's Hooper getting up a little gingerly. Bruin now in the midfield. He's starting to get his hand on the ball. He needs to fire. There, Miles needs to continue to take marks across centre-half forward if West Adelaide have got any chance.
It's Ripper Shiner, he's got their mark.
Yeah, so we'll leave that one alone, I think. Just see what does happen over the next couple of days. Burgoyne, outside 50, left leg, puts it on its way. It's a beautiful kick. That's it. You know, it's only early stages. We're only just played 4 minutes into this final quarter, but Burgoyne brings up his first for the afternoon.
Burgoyne being well held today by Andruski. Andruski's had a very good day, but we saw the silky skills of Peter Burgoyne on display a couple of weeks ago when he kicked 6. And again there, outside 50 on the left foot. Fabulous football player. Really has added a lot since coming back into this Port Adelaide Magpies side.
Well, let's set it up. Port Adelaide and Sturt in a grand final. You can't see West Adelaide catching them from here. And if you're a Port Adelaide fan, you'll enjoy this last 25 minutes live. Or exclusive correction to ABC Sport. Jones around the corner. Well, they battled hard, West Adelaide, this year. Let's give them due credit. At times they've been woeful, and at times they've been very, very exciting. Today they, I think for a quarter and a half, played with the sort of passion that's required for finals football success. The last quarter or so, they've gone chasing the man and forgot about the ball, and Port Adelaide really have rattled their cage. I think that that's one thing that Michael Taylor might work on in the summer, just make it a little stronger. Carter on the left boot towards half forward, standing alone. It was off just on 50. Now he's a penetrating kick, and his best would make the distance, and he's pretty accurate generally. Looking to squeeze it forward, does so into the path of Vikki, who's taken out of the contest by Parker. Morgan goes to ground. Well, look who's here. Burgoyne bends it around the corner. There is just a touch of magic. This one misses.
There is some special qualities about Peter Burgoyne. Just the way he stopped there as soon as he took control of the ball. Just jump stopped, and then once again a step off the left leg.
Well, Richardson fairly heavily strapped there on his right leg, so his hamstring must be bothering him. Has come off. Woosnam's come on to go up to full forward. Powell's just picked up and thrown away by Carr. Bamford comes up, fakes the handball running sideways. Again, Bamford butters up again. Cross to Jakes. Jakes will be taken. They couldn't pull him to ground, but he gets his kick away. And it's out of bounds on the full. Richardson still possibly suffering from that hamstring injury that kept him out of the game last weekend.
Modra out too, hasn't helped them. Not that he's been there for all of the year, or any part of the year, really. He would have been a handy replacement, Michael, for Richardson.
Yeah, they've structured their game around a focus at full forward, and to lose both Richardson with injury and then Modra coming back in, you think would have been able to fill the breach, but he too was injured his back, and they really have felt that today.
Ed Richardson, who's done a fine job on Scott Hodges. Scotty has one, but Richardson has rebounded pretty well from fullback. Goes forward to Gray, who's had a great contest with Miles, it was, who had a great contest with Fegan. Gray now. Broome ducks, no free kick. Play on, said the umpire. Gray, didn't Carr work hard? 3 tackles in the space of 3 seconds. A big work rate. Now it's Woosnam, as we can see that rain is clearly falling, making West Adelaide's job impossible. Ambrose claimed Woosnam. Loose ball fell to Power, who couldn't take it. Barrett tried to flick one forward into the path of Woosnam, who regathers the ball. And Northeast just holds his head and says, don't anybody stand on me.
Just the effort of those Port Adelaide defenders there. Carter started it off, Northeast finished it off. They really were desperate to hold the ball up.
I just have to make a comment. I just felt today that the Magpies just got too many smarter players, I think, running around around the park this afternoon.
Can they go all the way and knock off Sturt?
Well, they're going to be there, as we sort of said. I mean, Adelaide Crows went in as underdogs in yesterday's game with minor premiers North Melbourne.
It hasn't been a hard game for Port Adelaide today, has it?
Well, it's wet. It's been a bit of a slog. It has been physically hard. West Adelaide really haven't laid down. I just sense that West Adelaide just need a couple of smarter players out there, and they would have been able to control this game a little bit better up to this stage. Coming through that midfield and across half-back, the use of their football, their vision, and their choice of their option that they have decided on at times has been incorrect. And I just think Port going forward with people like Brown running through, and also Steed and ball ace especially, you can put sort of players like Banff in that class as well, and Burgoyne, very, very clever football and very, very smart.
Got a question as we see Scotty Hodges. How will he come up for the grand final? We've got a problem with Trent Orman-Allen, who we believe might have concussed himself. Scotty Hodges in the fitness doubt, and Darren Smith sitting on the interchange bench may face the tribunal through the week. So Port Adelaide have got their worries as they come into the grand final. But Sturt aren't going to let them have it all their own way. Burgoyne toe pokes one forward very, very cleverly.
Catch that man.
Quick change of direction, swings it towards centre forward on the left. Ed Richardson was up, brings the ball down to ground. Over the top of it, fighting hard as Alfie Steed. Jones got him as he came through. Brown claimed by Mellor. Mellor couldn't quite control it. It's a slippery piece of soap at the moment. Tregenza off the ground. That was so very clever. But it's marked in the final analysis by Adam Hooper, the 20-year-old in game number 12, playing a cutthroat final against Port Adelaide. Woo.
He shows a fair bit, this young kid. We've seen him 3 or 4 times. Got good skills and runs hard at the ball. So does this little bloke.
Yes, definitely a player for the future is Mark Power. We see him on the outer wing. Again, he's very close to the man on the mark, forcing him to kick the ball high. Up there is Broom, coming through hard as Carter. Exchange of punches in the pack there with Timothy Signs. Goes unnoticed. Oh, the ball hasn't come back to Carter. Oh, I just can't call this game any longer. David Mackay, take over. They're just frustrating me this afternoon. I wonder how the players must be feeling.
Look, I think it's fair to say that 2 of the boys out there today haven't had a big day, and one of them's done a pretty consistent job, and I think we'll see that in the grand final selections next week. Steed, 48 out, closing well. He kicked 5 last week, and he gets his first for this afternoon. 6 kicks, 10 handballs. Make that 7 kicks, 10 handballs, and 1 goal. 6 kicks and 10 handballs to Alfie Steed.
Mark Nayley was talking earlier about the smarter players that Port Adelaide had. The decision-making here of David Brown was absolutely fantastic. Just as soon as he got control, the awareness of where Alfie Steed was, and Steed good enough to make the finish. Fantastic play, David Brown.
What's it all about, Alfie? The great Burke Baccarat classics. And really he is going to be a player of the future. We talk about Mark Power, but Alfie Steed in the last couple of months of the season really has stood up and has put his name. A lot of, I think, AFL books, we'd have to say, possible selection in the pre-season draft if he nominates himself. Oh, you screwing your nose up at me. I agree with me.
I agree that Alfie Steed has come on in leaps and bounds. His physical attack on the ball is fabulous. His tackling is fantastic. Not sure he's got the speed of leg to go up to the next step.
We'll argue about that later. Comes out towards Hooper. With him is Carr. Carr, what can he do? Puts the ball to ground. Hooper's there as well. He goes to ground over the top of the football. The umpire has somehow picked up a free kick, and
You're right in what you say, Mark. If a club's looking for toughness, like Fremantle might, they've got plenty of running speed, they might go for a kid like Alfie Steed.
Well, he goes for the football.
The trend has been that they've just gone for players with extreme pace. They're called super quicks. And I think Michael's made a fair point. It just depends what the clubs are looking at. You never know what they're looking for. Boulez around the corner. Brown took front position. Mellor tried to crash through. Chalmers, well, hasn't he been terrific for them today? Well, he could be a match winner grand final day. He didn't take part last year. I mean, he fronted up but didn't go on with it. Injured early in the game, and Port Adelaide paid the price. Today he looks fit and healthy and damaging.
Started at centre half forward today. Was a little quiet there, reasonably well held. when he went into the ruck in that second quarter, that was the time that Port Adelaide got away. He's had 17 kicks for the day and really has been a critical player for Port Adelaide.
And Port Adelaide, 10 goal kickers.
No, they've just got too many options now, running all over West Adelaide. West Adelaide, though, need to stay at it, need to keep their pride intact. They've had a good year. Give themselves something to build on next year.
They still go at it. We see Jakes and Watkins both go early. Jakes knocks it on. And another free kick to Jakes. No, comes back to Steed. I thought possibly Jakes had received that one. But Alfie Steed takes it.
You're just talking about his ability to play AFL, David. You said about speed. I think a lot of the clubs now are looking for the speed and endurance, not just so much the straight out, off the mark.
The McLeod type player. There's a lot of them around, by the way.
Andriski really has got nowhere to go. He's found out Andriski with 22 kicks, 3 handballs, so 25 possession. Hasn't been their worst player for the afternoon. Seen plenty of the ball. That kick's gone nowhere. Try to find Gray. Bergen will take it. He'll slip it out over to Brown. Good interception there by Mellor. Back to Genza. Genza puts it up in a one-hand mark taken by Tomic.
Tomic sweeps it wide. Richardson lost the slippery ball. Under pressure now from Bamford. Tries to force towards the boundary line. Will do so. We are 14.5 minutes into the final quarter of the 1998 preliminary final. Port Adelaide doing it so very easy. They're 47 points clear. West Adelaide relegated this year to 3rd position, and Port Adelaide get a chance to be the second side since 1984 to win a grand final from the elimination final. Norwood did it that year, and you just suspect that with the momentum that's coming Port Adelaide's way, they're looking very, very dangerous. Can Phil Carman and his men stop the challenge? Parker claimed, no prior opportunity, goes to ground. It'll be about, says umpire Kevin Chambers. Fair call, that one. And he's umpired pretty well today.
That was a good tackle too. Front on, wrap the arms up. Just a sign that Port Adelaide are on their game when they can play the tackles like that.
Mellor, quick hands forward, couldn't find the target again. Mad Dog Morgan comes in. Out to Bamford. Bamford right leg, chips it out. He saw Carter out the corner of his eye. Players loose out there in Chalmers. Carter outside 50. Thank your mother for the chickens. Carter outside 50. That one there will go home into the filing cabinet. There's one goal. Look at the smile on his face. You won't wipe that off all night.
Thank you, Rex Naley.
That was a good kick, wasn't it? A couple of paces, wet ball, slippery conditions, and the half-back flanker gets the broadest of smiles as the rain just tumbles down at Football Park.
Ed Richardson off, Prime Minister Howard on, and rain, heavy rain falling at Football Park, pelting down on West Adelaide supporters. Port Adelaide fans don't mind this. They love it. They revel in it. Look at that. 53 points the margin. And coming out of the middle, Toomey gathers it in, but it'll come.
Yes, in the back of the ground. Toomey just will give the ball back. He does that across to Bamford. Bamford right in the middle of the ground. What will he do? He goes out wide looking for Lees. No, he doesn't. Comes in short to the captain. What will the captain do? Magpies are just coming down in numbers. West Adelaide virtually have given up now. Cross to Obbs. Obbs lays it on its way. Vikki from behind. One grab, two grabs. The umpire doesn't call play on. He does. And Vikki just sockers the ball forward. Been unlucky there, Michael Parsons, not to pick up another goal.
Brian Vikki has had another great game. He really has been the spark in Port Adelaide's forward setup over the last half of this season. And the last 5 or 6 games where they've got those 10-goal margins, Brian Vikki has been a consistent goal scorer.
Carter's forward. The back was Carr. Over the top was Bruin. And really, I mean, the conditions here deteriorated only in the last, say, 15 or 20 minutes of this game. It really is pouring down here at Football Park. The ponchos are on. The umbrellas can't be put up. But virtually, the local budgets are over people's head. Most of them have somehow found a spot in the grandstand to watch the last half of this final quarter. Bamford lightning pace, takes him on its way, and he's missed it.
Disappointing result for Bamford. Gathered it well. You could see him looking at the goals as he went around the last two tacklers. He was keen to get his name on the board. He gets excited about kicking a goal about there and is disappointed with the result, as he might well be.
55 points to margin. Remember that the last 4 games have been better than 10-goal wins. So Port Adelaide have been in great form. Sturt will have had to play 2 games in 4 weeks. You just hope that they've got the fitness work under their belt to control the onslaught of Port Adelaide, who are just absolutely cruising right now. Carter around the corner finds Lees. The 2 defenders combined. Lees has done a good job at centre-half back today.
It's about that time of the game you'd expect him to see him loping forward, looking for the sticks.
Carr, a long bomb towards goals. That is a penetrating kick. Also offline. They're peppering the goals now.
Yes, Port Adelaide just too strong in the final wash-up. Too many options up forward and a defensive six that plays so well together. They've just run the ball out consistently all day.
We've got to suggest, Mark, that we're looking at a sellout grand final for the 1998 grand final. It's Port Adelaide and Sturt. That's the one the fans wanted, you guess?
Yes, and no doubt there will be a sellout next Sunday afternoon. Free kick's been found. He comes up with Mello. Mello on left leg. Up towards Symes. Comes out. Tregenza would just put himself over this ball. Chips it out in front. He's gone to Andriski. Trying to go over the top. He was to Vikki. I don't know how Vikki's come up with that. And he kicks the goal here. The runner needs to go out. I think it will. Bamford. Vikki's taken on 4. The West Adelaide Army didn't want to go near it. Vikki came through, took it, and found Bamford. And Bamford's kicked his goal. And Bamford all of a sudden becomes a 12th Magpie player. A goal this afternoon.
Oh, let's give the backmen a bit of a run at it too. They've been extraordinarily good, Michael, today.
I'm just completely impressed with Port Adelaide. I know that Ian Mogridge, a statistician, and myself had a chat before they last played West Adelaide. Said Port Adelaide had the gear to go all the way, and we saw them get absolutely annihilated by West Adelaide that day. But since that time, their closest game has been 60 points. They're continuing with that form. The way Stephen Williams has managed the AFL players coming back in, the way he's got the setup right, hats off to him. I think he's done a fantastic job, and they're in for a real chance next week against Sturt.
21 minutes gone, final quarter, and Port Adelaide just put the pedal to the metal towards Vikki, who marks. Oh, good mark with the wet ball. That's incredible.
I'll tell you what, though, I'm very disappointed with West Adelaide over the last 5 minutes. Sure, their season is gone, it is washed up, but surely you've got to have the pride to just continue to run, continue to work, and continue to get to the competitions, even at this late stage of the game.
Vikki's kicked 3, 1 in the first, second and third quarters. Can he finish it off with 1 in the fourth? He likes it, so he's got 4 goals today and 35 goals, 13 for the season. He's been a match winner throughout the finals. 7 goals, 4 last week, and now 4 goals straight today.
There's 6-5 to absolutely nothing this quarter for West Adelaide. Just a very disappointing end. We said earlier in the game how we have seen West Adelaide play with a lot of emotion and been very good, and we've seen them play without emotion. They started today well, but once Port Adelaide got on top, they really have been ordinary. Scotty Hodges comes back on to see if he too get another goal to his name.
Breaking through the pack was Morgan over to Brown. Brown puts it on its way. Has it gone enough? I think it has. David Brown. That's his 3rd for the afternoon. Terrific football, champagne football by the Magpies.
It is impressive, but again, I'll go back to my point about West Adelaide's effort there. There was no chase, and there was nobody prepared to come and meet him. But again, a great finish from David Brown from a long way behind the 50-metre line. Yes, Michael Taylor would be disappointed with this.
Shattered. He's restored some respect into this West Adelaide Football Club. In a half, they've thrown it away. They've really gained some respect this year in the competition. But Port Adelaide have made them look decidedly second-rate. Polton goes to the back door. Morgan picks up the crumb. Carr around the corner, driving it further forward. Scotty Hodges was 5 deep, couldn't get to the contest. Bamford misjudged it. Mellor around the corner, the skipper heads to the safety of the boundary line, can't quite find it, and it's Carr just getting away a handball under pressure. Broon looks for a handball, comes inboard. Barrett, wider still. Symes, who started the game in sizzling style but was forced to be shifted around. Ambrose, who's done a great job at fullback. Carter collected. Woosden dispossessed by Fegan. Now it's Ambrose again. Port Adelaide are finishing this game full of run, as that one just inside the boundary line forced across, and you just sense the ebb and flow of emotion is right with the Magpies. They're building for another crack at a grand final.
I want to know what it is, David. What is it about the Port Adelaide Football Club that just gets them up at the end of the year to be so successful? So much upheaval over the last couple of years with the Power coming into the AFL competition, but still they are just the pace setters in this league.
Well, let's set it up. They were 4th at the end of the home and around series. I think they won 12 and lost 8. You know, they weren't special in any department. They weren't the best defence. They weren't the best attack. In fact, I think they only had 1 goal scorer at the end of the year that had got 30 goals.
That's right. From that day, 22nd of August was the last time they lost, and that was to West Adelaide. From that time, they have been absolutely fantastic.
Woosnam around his body. West Adelaide would love to have a goal before this game finishes this afternoon. I can't see it coming the way they've been playing this last quarter.
Now, Mark, the way things are going, Sturton Port for grand final, I reckon they'll have to line up like they did for Crows tickets. There'll be a line-up for tickets. Sturton Port in the grand final.
I just hope it's not as big a debacle as it was with the AFL tickets.
I don't think it'll matter. It's just, it's one of the big ones you like to see. And just to think 4 years ago, Sturton were nearly out of the competition. Today, they're back as a power, and there really is a dimension between a Port and Sturton grand final. And we're going to get one this year. Barrett. Short to the goal screen. McClucky, one-handed attempt. Ambrose just ran over the top of him like a tractor. Northeast, the loose crumb. Look at Port Adelaide. They're just running. It's 4-on-1 out there. West Adelaide have given up the ghost. Ambrose to half forward. Burgoyne in front of Andriski. That's been a momentous battle today. Andriski's done a good job, but Burgoyne really has exploded in this last quarter. Delivers it up towards Borlase, the skipper at full forward. Couldn't mark it. Tomic handballs out to Broon, and West Adelaide tried to mount something.
Comes up to Twomey. Twomey will come inside to Heaver. Heaver will put on his way. He goes high looking for Woosnam. Woosnam's got a chance to take the mark. Good spoil by Ambrose. Comes to ground. Brown, who's covering the back half, the forward half, through the midfield. Just goes for the safety of the boundary line. And the ball will be thrown in front of the old scoreboard here at Football Park.
Right, Michael Parsons, give us your best players for both sides.
It is about that time of the game, David. Brown, I think, would have to be right up there with the best. Borlase has had a lot of the football. Chalmers, as well, has been special. Brown, statistics up there, thanks to Ian Mockridge, 12 kicks, 13 handballs, and very, very effective in the forward part of the ground. Northeast, I thought, has done a great job in the back half. Vikki with his catching ability and the goals that he's kicked. Polton, I thought, done reasonably well off the half-back flank. And Ambrose, to be able to stop Adam Richardson like he did, has had a good day.
As we come back to Tomic, claimed by Borlase. Darren Smith off the ground, goes towards goal, gets a point. Now give us West Adelaide's best. You won't have too many of them.
No, a little harder to find for sure. Andriski was standout, played on the magical Peter Burgoyne, and really did have his number early in the game. McClucky, I thought, had a lot of the ball on a wing there for a while, not too effective. Symes had a good start, then when he came back into the centre half forward was reasonable in the third quarter. Ed Richardson has done a good job battling in the back half. Power and Big Benny Watkins also, I thought, has battled gamely all day. But on the whole, the West Adelaide midfield forward half really have been ordinary.
I think you picked them pretty well. I don't think you've left too many out, if any at all, to be honest.
Lisa's wide, he brings it back in. He's got Carr, also Jakes out wider as Steed. Jakes takes it, comes across, looking for Obbs. Obbs out in front of Mellor, couldn't get his hands up quite far enough. Comes McClucky, slips it back out to Tomic, he misses it again. Bamford takes it, ball very slippery. I'm pretty sure that Samuel Jones would be quite content to see that ball go through. The crowd's not, the Magpie army aren't happy, but look at the little egg shape in the closed eye of Samuel Jones.
Is that 71 points? 76 points, sorry. It's exactly the same as last week's margin. So Port Adelaide are in something of a purple patch. And what a time to be coming into this sort of form. Carr deep into the pocket and Scotty Hodges marks. Now he's only about 40 metres out, the angle's tight, but with confidence rising, this might just be a barometer of where Scotty is.
Let's just have a watch on how Scotty approaches the man on the mark, how he approaches his kick. We talked earlier in the day how he's probably dropped off a few paces. Just tends now to take 1 or 2 steps and then kick the ball.
1 goal won this afternoon from 5 kicks. Last week he was back to his ferocious best. This one with a very wet ball, sails off to the right. He's got 1 goal 2 today, Scotty. You just sense, though, that a fit Scotty Hodges is going to make a huge impact in a grand final.
Yes, you'd have to say that. I mean, the Magpies, 5 weeks, they've kicked over 10 goals. I mean, won by more than 10 goals. You see Samuel Jones bringing, so they are in very, very good form. It's going to be a fantastic game next week. The Double Blues up against the Magpies.
Magpies just rattling it now. Full back's going to kick a goal.
Brown couldn't take it. Toomey puts one of his players, looks like it. Howard in a fair bit of pressure there. Coming down to Morgan, slips it back up to Bamford. Coming in as Ops, he'll blind turn, he doesn't. Jones knocks it back, gets his hand to the ball again. Runs away from Jakes. Has a luxury of a bounce, but not the best condition to be doing that. Tregenza takes him on. Umpire has to call holding the ball. He doesn't. Northeast picks it up, puts it high into the forward line. Who's there? D. Smith on the chest. Too easy. Shepherding. The ball will come back to Parker.
That was a pretty tough call, I would have thought.
Toomey. Well done, Colton. Well, you've picked him amongst your better players. Well, he's given every ounce today.
He's rugged, he's hard, he's at the ball. Lets himself down with his kicking skills occasionally, but I really do think he's got a future at this level of competition at least.
Well, we hope you can tune in around the country next week when Port Adelaide and Sturt belted out in the grand final of 1998. I don't know that we could have hoped for anything better. With Sturt in the form they've been in and Port Adelaide finding this type of form at this time of the year, it promises to be a classic grand final. Join us next Sunday. It will be a torrid affair, I promise you that, and the supporters will pack them to the rafters as they come and support both teams. Get your tickets early. The SANFL have promised us a live telecast if it's a sellout. Well, I don't think there's any doubt about that now.
Yes, the atmosphere around town, especially after the big win by the Adelaide Crows yesterday. People still love their football. Next week's game will be just as big. Double Blues, Magpies. Torpedo punt by Symes. Dave Mackay to hear the final siren.
And it's all over for West Adelaide. Port Adelaide have won and they're in to the grand final. They take on Sturt next week emphatically. 18 goals, 14, 122. West Adelaide 7 goals, 345. West Adelaide a finish for 1998. Port Adelaide get a crack at the minor premiers Sturt. What an emotion-packed week it will be for Port Adelaide as they prepare for yet another grand final. Michael, I think it needs to be said Darren Smith might take a trip to the tribunal, as Sam Jones might. Hodges looks to be fit. We're worried about Trent Ormanell, and Darren Smith, a trip to the tribunal will have a big impact on Port Adelaide's preparations.
Darren Smith will leave that one for other people, but Trent Ormanell looked okay while he's sitting on the bench. I think it's just off for precautionary reasons, but Port Adelaide, they really are looking the goods at this time of year.
Well, the big crowd enjoys it. It's Port Adelaide and Sturt next week in the 1998 SANFL Grand Final. We're almost certain now with these two mega teams in the Grand Final will be a sellout. Join us, we hope, live next week. But either way, get a ticket any way you can to the SANFL Grand Final. We hope you've enjoyed the preliminary final from Football Park. See you next week for the Grand Final. Bye for now.